All right, guys, quick interruption for the podcast. If you guys are questioning what workouts you should be doing every day, I got a solution for you. Go to my site right now, bradleymartin.com. Sign up. There's daily workouts every single day. There's a ton of ebooks. There's a ton of stuff on there for you guys to use. You guys are looking to change your body, change your life, feel better, look better, be stronger, whatever it is. Go to bradleymartin.com. Let's get back into this podcast.
It's Gundam.
No. Well, I mean, they have guns. No, the Gundam. See the little figurine, the head over there, the character?
Right down this side table.
Um,
Remember I was putting them together? I put together a gold one.
But you know how we're all adults that vote and have homes? Yeah, no, I don't have a toy collection. No, I don't.
Oh, my God.
You know who's into that? My 9-month-old son. Yes.
You're not into toys?
I mean, let's look.
Toys
Am
are so
I?
fun,
I
though.
like tchotchkes. Like, I'm definitely a hoarder for like nostalgic tchotchkes.
Wait, what the fuck are tchotchkes? Am I like, what the fuck are,
I'm kind of obsessed with you. Okay.
what are tchotchkes?
You know what I noticed? A lot of your episodes start with, "Are we rolling?"
Oh, yeah. They were just always rolling, yeah.
I know, but it's a funny. Is that Magic Mind?
Yeah.
Are we rolling?
I want to cut this out when it's
No,
not an ad.
please
Yeah?
don't cut it out.
It's not
Fucking
an ad.
Magic Mind, you owe me like $70,000.
No way.
Magic Mind bought time on my podcast. I do a great ad. I pride myself on really like delivering on the ads. I'm not like Bert Kreischer or Andrew Santino or Bobby Lee or Tom Segura or any of these weirdos, millionaires that are just like, anyway, so brought to you by Blue Chew, BetterHelp.com, mispronouncing half of the things, right? Magic Mind, I deliver, I drink it for a week to make sure that I'm not full of shit. And I'm actually like, this stuff actually works. And then they pull the clip and then they run it as an ad.
Well, so why didn't they didn't pay you?
No, they just ran it as an ad. And then, my pod ad salesperson, I was like, yeah, they can't. Someone was like, oh, you got a campaign with Magic Mind? That's crazy. I'm like, what? No.
But did they pay you for the original spot?
The original spot. But then they pulled it
You
and
didn't-
started using it
You
as
didn't
an
know you were using an ad.
Yeah, you can't do that. I mean,
But sometimes you can agree to that.
I didn't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they definitely did not pay. My price for that is very different.
Yeah.
And if you were going to do that, let's negotiate it and I'll make one that's custom for that. They just pulled one from my podcast. That
Yeah.
was just like, anyway, it was sketchy. It was shady. And where am I going with this? Oh, and then my pod producer was like, yeah, you can't do that. Like, whatever. And they're like, we're so sorry. You know when someone's guilty, the way that they're unctuous and how they apologize. Like,
Yeah.
if they had been like, wait, what? I thought we could do this. I'd be like, oh, I guess you're right. Like,
So they did that behind your back.
but yeah, they were like, oh, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. That's how you know they're guilty of something sketchy, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, great. Like, do you guys want to pay me for it or something? And in the email, they just went, we would like to offer her a free box of Magic Mind on us. I was like,
Whoa. Magic Mind directly said that, or the...
Magic Mind, yeah. They were like,
Yeah,
we'll send her
wow.
a free box. I'm like, I'm good. Thanks. Anyway, promo code Bradley. What's this called? Promo code Raw Dog. Raw Dog?
Raw Dog, no.
Sure.
No, that's
RAWTALK.
Raw Talk. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Raw Dog works too. It's fine.
Babe, if you're gonna talk, you do have to be near a microphone. Okay.
No, you're funny, though. You should get in here.
I know. Why don't you just sit there?
Yeah.
And if you have something to say,
Humor us.
you can just talk into the mic.
Come on.
Because you're ruining old
He's
Texas's
fucking-
life
he's
over here
fucking-
because he'll have to edit you out.
Look, he's iPad guy over there.
And everyone's going to be like, Whitney Cummings is such a bull-dyke ball-buster. She makes her boyfriend sit in the corner and doesn't even let him speak. He's a legend.
How long you guys been together?
Let's say it at the same time and see if we have the same.
Holy wait, come over here. Holy this is great. Yeah, sit down. I feel like I'm the feds for that question.
You know, like,
Oh, God.
you know when you ask a couple how long they've been together, one person says 8 months, one person says 4 years. You're like, wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, how
Same
long
time.
have we been together? On 3 or after 3?
On 3.
On 3?
1, 2, 3.
11 months.
Year.
I did that for humor. Okay, I knew what she was gonna say.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
It really is more technically 11 months. I round up. I guess I should probably not round up. It just feels easier. Yeah, we've
It's
been
always
together.
funnier.
He slid into my DMs on Instagram.
Wow. This might be another awkward question, but is the kid his?
No.
Wow.
Not mine.
What's awkward about that?
I don't know.
Look me right in the eyes. Not his kid.
Yep.
Nope. White trash till I die, Bradley.
Yep.
Well, can I ask you something?
Yes, of course.
What is it? I have never been hit on more than when I was pregnant.
What the?
Is it because I can't get pregnant? What is it?
Is that a real? Are you
I'm
genuine?
dead serious. I mean, look, a couple people
Like
have told,
throughout the whole term, like the whole thing.
Well, once I was showing. You know what I mean? Tony Hinchcliffe and Bron White were kind of explaining it to me. Their take was you come off so rough and sharp edged that it softened you.
I don't know. I think some people are just weirdly into that.
Also, my ass was giant. Maybe it was just that.
Yeah, I think some people are weird about that.
What do you mean weird?
Like I know one guy specifically who like that was his thing, was trying to bang pregnant women.
Okay, but they can't get pregnant. He's a genius.
I mean, maybe he's just weirdly kind of into that for some reason.
There's something so feminine about it. And so, like, that's a woman.
Yeah, it's as woman can get. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Was he more on it when you were pregnant?
No, but a friend of ours said,
Eric Weinstein, you know Eric Weinstein,
Yeah.
the great Eric Weinstein. We had dinner with him the other night.
he said that the reason why so many people were like hitting on her was because she's out of their league, but they feel like they might be able to get it on sale.
Because she's pregnant? What the?
That might be their moment to like hormonal. She might make a mistake.
She might make a mistake.
She has bad judgment.
Yeah, like,
she can't run that fast.
Holy.
Yeah.
So you have other kids though, you said.
He's got kids.
I do.
Okay.
I have 2 kids.
But let me ask you a question. Why did you ask me to do this? I'm so I'm
Because I think you're hilarious.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm very into you. I just felt like I am gonna be such a so useless on this podcast.
Nah, but it's different. You know, it's just like it's not the typical person that I normally. I mean, I feel like mostly I interview guys.
Yeah, correct.
You know.
Yes.
So it's nice to have a change.
Yeah, I texted and I texted him and I was like, "Why is this like a prank? Like, does he just want to have on the only person he can beat in a street fight? I don't know." Like,
What did he say?
No, he loves you.
Yeah,
He's a fan.
Okay.
And I was like, "All right, I'll do it."
Yeah.
I was like, "Is this some prank? Am I gonna?"
No, like why? Just because it would be a prank, just because of the affiliation that I have with like the Nelk, or why would I prank you?
Oh no! I just mean like in general.
I was just gonna troll you.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know because I was sort of like his fan base is like you guys are athletes and high performers, and I have no butt at the moment. I'm working on it. I'm gonna get it
Nothing. Yeah, whatever. I mean, you had it when you were pregnant though. So
That's right. Yeah. I do want to start coming to your gym though.
You should. Where do you train now?
In my house. I have like a little gym in my house. I know it's really boring. What would you say is the most common mistake people make in the gym? Besides filming their workouts.
Wow, yeah. I mean, that's the most popular thing now.
It's wild.
It's like it's become like a whole internet culture thing where people film people and like get mad when people step through their cameras, all kinds of weird.
So have you noticed that like porn now? I mean, I haven't like really dug in a while, but for a while there, the trend was gym porn, like yoga balls. Is that for you? Is that your kink?
I didn't know that.
Yoga ball porn.
I actually stopped watching porn like almost 2 years ago now.
That's smart. That's really smart.
It's like the worst thing in the world.
It's just so toxic, right?
Yeah. So wait, I'm so curious. We got to back up. You somehow figured out there was a trend in this space?
Yeah, it's like, okay, so
were you watching porn and you're like, wait, I'm noticing a lot more porn like this?
So when you're out in the field dating, right, which I'm not doing at the moment.
Yeah.
You notice like guys doing things, and I'm sure girls do it too. I just don't know, where you'll be like, oh, this is like a new thing that's going around. Like 4 years ago, guys started like fish hooking.
Fish hooking women? Uh-huh. Oh, like going like that? Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah. Not saying it's not hot. I just mean it was like, I was like, well, this is where'd this come from, right?
Okay.
And then, I don't know, I feel like there was like a nostril moment. There was like a
nostril moment?
Hand in the mouth, just hand that just...
Oh, okay.
Just, is that a choke? Is that, he was just worried I was...
It's like a both.
Talking.
Yeah.
You just lose your balance. I'm not sure. Okay. And then I'll go, because I'm always talking about this stuff in my stand-up, and I'm always like, I'll go on the dating apps just to see what's going on out there, and then I'll go see what the most popular porn categories are. Like 3 years ago, it started being like incest, like stepbrother. Is this how far we've gone as a society?
Yeah.
How desensitized we are?
Yeah, I thought that was one of the weirdly I knew that was a weirdly popular
Being stuck
one.
in the dryer was a big one.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
No, that was, everyone knows that one.
What's hot about it? The girl's ass or the fact that she's doing
Probably
housework?
doing my laundry. That's what I'd be like about that.
I feel like they're both kind of like a joke that like took off.
But do you
in a way?
Ah,
Like they're kind of like so silly.
like the stepsister, stepbrother thing is weird as shit.
I have because of the
Totally.
taboo. I think that what is taboo is we're so far gone about what's taboo at this point. But I also think that the funniness, what really annoys me is when you go to a porn site and there's like sketches. There's
Sketches?
like comedy sketches, and it's like.
Oh, you mean like before the porn?
Yeah,
They
do
try
you
to be
want
funny?
comedy with your.
I mean, I don't think I always kind of skip that part, you know?
And then why did you quit?
Because it's just not good for your brain.
It's not good for you.
It's just that chasing the dopamine. It's I have so many other things that I chase it at, or like trying to get views, or making money, or trying to do whatever else. It's like I don't need more things that are like giving me that like sort of release of dopamine that's just like not in a positive manner.
Do you control your
Sexual urges? Is that where you were going with
sort
it?
of?
so.
No. Do you control your like? You know how fighters don't like jerk off before fights? Do you do that before podcasts? You're like, I'm gonna hold it.
Before podcast, no. No, I just stopped jerking off around the same time I stopped
Good
watching
for
porn.
you.
Yeah.
Was it difficult? Was it hard? Sorry. Was it
That
difficult?
wasn't hard.
I mean, yeah, it's funny. No, at first it was a little bit hard because like you would just have that thought, oh, I'm gonna do it because I can. Why not? And then you're just like say no enough, and it's nothing.
There's
and
a
then
great book. It's a horrible title. It's called Cupid's Poisoned Arrow, and it is about orgasms and how we're not designed to have them like on a daily basis, how bad it is for our brains, like the amount of dopamine you're getting. Like back in tribal times, we were supposed to only have sex when we were like procreating or something, like very rarely. And that having orgasms as much as we are is just sort of like blowing out our dopamine receptors.
I think that and just so many things are like that now. Social media, like the response to like getting views or people. I mean, I guess it's different now because not everyone's making content. But like, I don't know. When's the last time you went on Twitter? Do you go on Twitter?
I did go on Twitter after the debates. I tend to go on when I don't want to really watch something, but I want to see what the reaction is. So I went on after the debates. I went on after the fight the other night. I kind of do go on for news. I think I was so negative with Twitter for so long that I was off it for like 3 years, but now I've unfollowed all the like weird toxic shit, and that's just where I get my news. Like I only have news feeds on it, really.
Yeah.
It kind of like I had to do like a cleanse of all my social media of everybody that I followed.
Twitter's like the worst for me. It's just like so. It's like a massive like everything's like almost rage bait at this point. Like
That's
people
correct.
will say things just to get people to be like, "I hate you" or "You're wrong." It's insane right now.
It's right. I mean, I do think it's like I'm obsessed with just like addiction and I have a very addictive personality for certain things, but I try to find ways to just like be addicted to healthy things. Like you're not going to get rid of your addicted brain, but if there's a way to like sublimate
Do something else with
into
it.
something positive. Yeah. So, and I think that we're going to look back in like 30 years and go, like the same way that we look at like smoking when people smoked inside, like on planes.
Airplanes.
We're going to look back and be like, remember when you could just get on Twitter at any time and get your hit of rage? Because it's people that are addicted to self-righteous indignation, right? They're going on just to like fight.
But do you think actually we're going to look back? I think it's only going to be worse. I feel like it's going to be even closer to us as far as like technology's going.
I mean, this next generation of like young people that are, how old were you when we got Twitter? I was in like my 20s maybe? Or
yeah, 2008.
Yeah, like early
okay.
20s. I had already had a childhood without it, So it's like this next generation of kids that are doing it from a super young age. I think we're going to see that they like cannot function. I mean, maybe AI is going to come in and supplement it or something, but I think we're going to go the same way cigarettes were like fine, and then it's like, oh, everyone has lung cancer. We have to get rid of this. I think it has to get really bad, and then we'll just go like,
But what do you think? I feel like it's just at that point people just become part robot. Like what's fixing
yeah,
it?
maybe. I mean, we kind of already are. I mean, when I don't have my phone on me, I'm like, I feel it.
Well,
I physically feel it.
Yeah, like if you drove to the airport without your phone, you'd buy a new phone.
Yeah.
You just straight up buy a new phone.
I just
100%.
wouldn't go on my trip. I'd go back home to get my phone.
Yeah, like new shit.
Yeah, shit's canceled.
It's funny. Somebody that I know posted something one day that said wouldn't it be nice if social media closed at 6 p.m.?
Oh.
And I like actually got this feeling of like that would be amazing if it just turned off.
Yeah.
6 p.m. Like, sorry,
Yeah.
no more social media. There's none of it.
This is funny
tomorrow.
because he got famous like on TV, like X Games fame. Chris Cole, skateboarder, everyone, like magazines. He was like on the cover of Thrash. He was like Skater of the Year.
Thrasher was the
Sure.
So is.
Whatever. And you got famous without any of that stuff. So it's kind of funny how I say this with love in my heart.
Amazing.
He's like awful at social media. He has a lot of followers just because he's like a legend, but you
really bad at it.
It's actually kind of aggressive. Like it's the power move.
Well, it's kind of interesting because in some lanes, people got a job via social media. That's nowadays, like, people have that drove it. I got a job without it. So once social media came up, it was like a volcano that you had to feed, and it was more work than your work. Because it's every single day, all the time. You have to keep feeding it, and it just goes away.
But I also think in skateboarding, unlike kind of what we do, something I do like about comedy and like this podcast space of like longevity and high performing and edifying yourself is like, you can be a tryhard. I am a tryhard.
On this space?
Just in our space.
Yeah.
We talk about how hard we work.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? I'm not like you. Are you on some like, are you sunning your butthole at 5 a.m. and all that
No.
You're like icing your balls. And
no,
like,
I do the ice bath though.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I don't
How
ice the
often?
balls specifically. Like once a day.
Oh,
Like
really?
once a day.
Yeah. When's the last time you done it?
I didn't know that there was like more than that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that people did it twice a day.
Really, I'm chill once a day.
Some people like wake up and do it.
Here's what I will say about the ice bath. I do, and Huberman, I believe, corroborated this, which is that if it causes you stress, like if it's really stressful for you to get in it, it's combating the benefits.
Do you think so?
They call me Ho Rogan, okay? Come for me. But like I grew up poor, okay? I grew up, the bills weren't paid and we never had hot water. When I do not with cold water. It makes me feel poor again. It stresses me out. It makes me angry. I don't like it. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. And it's like the amount of adrenaline and cortisone you're making is undoing any of the benefits, in my opinion.
I think the whole point is to do it because you don't want to do it. Like that's one of the biggest parts of the ice bath.
That's what sex is for me.
Oh my God.
I already have that.
She's lying.
I am lying.
Wait, what?
She's lying.
I am lying.
What the?
I will destroor this relationship.
That's insane.
on this
for
podcast.
a laugh right now.
That's insane.
I know you will, babe. I know you will, honey.
Bro, that's crazy.
I'm kidding. But yeah, the idea is you're doing something you don't want to do. But I don't know. I do plenty of things I don't want to do, you know?
What do you do that you don't like the most?
Southwest middle seat. All day long. I flew Spirit Airlines just to like see what was going on. My travel agent,
so close.
my travel agent texted me and she was like, you know that fights break out on this airline. That's like their thing. I was like, I'm in. I want to be like MVP gold status. Let's go.
Just,
MMA Airlines.
It's just too close. Like it's just the seats are too close. I've flown Spirit.
Well, you're also too big. You're also a, Trek.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
so
you're
much.
like the anomaly. Like you have to buy 2 seats, but for the complete opposite reason.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
When you're big like you, and I don't say this, and maybe you've already talked about it, is there like a trauma that this comes from of like you want to be able to defend yourself, or did you have to like fight a stepdad, or like
No.
just like want to look sick?
No, where it started.
By the way,
you
I
mean?
believe this is how men should look. I believe this is I know. We're on it.
I'm bulking right now. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, okay.
You're bulking.
He's got
Yeah, I'm loading up.
his anal
Carb
sphincter
loading.
came out this morning. He is on it.
Yeah.
But he's got like so many skating injuries.
I'm gonna shred.
Yeah. I just mean like I when it's like, why do men have to get in shape? It's like, well, we're going to war soon. I mean,
Oh my God, it's insane.
we
right now.
need you guys to do this.
So I started it not because of war or anything, but really just it was like it's just a time in my life where it was the one thing that I was like, oh, I'm actually kind of good. I feel good at this, and I feel good about myself. I dealt with a lot of trauma when I was a kid. Like lost my father when I was young to suicide, and then feeling like, why don't I have these things? Other people have things, and I just felt like when I was in the gym, it was like all that kind of just disappeared. And so I was like, oh, I want to do this more. So it was for me, it was like that sort of addictive sort
Healthy
of like
addiction, yeah.
Yeah, healthy. At the time, it was more so like avoidant, trying to avoid it. But then I realized like, oh, I'm actually good at this. And so I just kept doing it.
Like you hyper focused on it.
Yeah. That was where it came from.
I love that. I love being like, I started working out with Ben Bruno, like, I don't know, like 6 years ago. I'm a little bit like skinny and not super muscular right now, but I got really strong, at least for me, not compared to you, but like I got really strong and I was so happy because I just felt so competent, you know, like I felt so like one time my dog, I have a dog like yours, a Great Dane Pit Bull, and he's, 120 pounds, maybe 100 pounds. He was maybe bigger at the time.
Yeah, he's 120.
Cut his leg on something and two of his, are they arteries? Whatever. He was like bleeding out and I had to carry him and put him in the car and like run into the hospital with him and like made it just like in the nick of time. And I couldn't have done that if I wasn't in shape. Like I like to get in shape to like picture like saving someone's life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that.
when you jump off of, the roof to do one of your whirly birds.
Yeah, you want everything to stay together.
Like I have to be able to carry you to the hospital.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, that's the funny thing about like the skate dudes. Like you can't get too big where you offset your balance and how you do things.
You're already like, very stocky for a skateboarder.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
like they're usually not built up. They're usually pretty scrawny, but.
They're like vegan.
Everybody will say like
they're all vegan.
Are they vegan?
They seem
dude,
like it.
they'll like a lot of people like do yoga because like it feels better when you skate because like you're nice and loose. But if you don't have muscle holding those joints together, your explodes. All the springs come out because you do the splits one time, but you don't have any like glute to hold your hip together.
Have you ever had a major injury?
Oh
yeah, probably. I think so.
He just went and did that stem cell thing because his back is just like a question mark.
I did do that.
Where?
CPI down in TJ.
Tijuana.
Yeah.
How long has it been since that?
How many guys are saying
like,
they're going to get stem cells in Tijuana and are just going to get hookers?
Yeah.
Oh, neat. Interesting.
Hong Kong?
Yeah.
Did you go to Hong Kong on the way out?
I was like, Hong Kong, that's like a ways away. Oh, the strip joint. No, I did
you know about that?
I did in March.
Yeah, it's a really famous strip club, Hong Kong and Tijuana. Yeah. That's probably why he went there.
Oh my God, can you imagine like after getting stem cells, like try to go
you feel
strip
great.
Club, like,
you feel super good.
Oh, it takes like 3 months till you start to feel like I can move again. So it took a while. Like I did it in March.
Your knee,
I got it in my lower back, in my cervical spine, so like my neck, and also in my right knee.
I'm actually really interested in this.
Please, and Bradley's going to know the answer to this. People went to get their dicks bigger too.
What?
Is that possible?
Wait, why would I know the answer to this?
I just know.
What the fuck is this?
Sorry, I just mean you probably know a lot about this space. There were a lot of people that were just there for their dicks. Does it work?
Wait. Not the stem cells for the...
Yes.
Yeah, stem cells for the dick. Okay, so here's what actually happened is like some dudes went down there just to pump up their dick. They put like 2 needles in your gooch and like...
What's a gooch? Is that the top?
It's right under.
It's between your like balls and your ass.
The taint.
Yeah.
But your dick goes... Your dick's there too. Like that's all dick. Like for a dude,
that
whole zone's dick.
This is hilarious.
How about this?
Totally.
I've seen it. You haven't.
Fair enough.
Neither of you have seen it.
That's okay. Fair enough.
Okay. Don't act like you're the authority on it.
I'm just saying they stab dick, but they stab the different area.
Okay.
Yeah, not the part that's protruding. It's like
got
you.
They stab like.
But we're still counting that. We're still counting that?
Yeah.
Size-wise, we're counting that? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Gotcha.
I mean, I measure to the wall. But a bunch of dudes went down just for that. But there were like 50 people, 30 to 50 people in this place at this 1 week. And there was one guy there that was like a manly man, right? Like everybody knew of him. He's like, he fights real good, right? I'm not going to say names, but he got it. And then
Brendan Schaub.
Wait, there's a fight. This is an actual fighter?
It's a guy. He fights good. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I can't. But he got it.
We know it's a guy. You said.
And he was not scared to say it. He was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'm getting it. Right? It's like 2 seconds. I'm doing it just in case. And every other dude was like, wait, if he'll do it, like every dude signed up. Every other dude was like, ooh, I want it too.
Dude, I want to know who this guy was so bad.
I'll tell you after. Okay. But let me ask you, I'm not accusing this guy of taking steroids, but if you take steroids, does that make your dick smaller or your balls smaller?
Balls smaller.
Oh, yeah. Do you think his dick had taken a hit from steroids?
Well, it doesn't make your dick smaller. If anything, it would make your dick, I don't want to say bigger, but it would make it stronger.
But all these ice baths are taking a toll on y'all's dicks, let's be honest.
They take a toll on the balls, probably.
Yeah.
I think every dude, unless they've been confirmed, like this can't be any bigger, will definitely go till they get the cutoff.
But
it's like,
well, I'm so wait, what is it? I don't get it. It makes it perform better, or it makes it
bigger,
stay bigger?
Because the stem cell grows whatever, like collagen, right? Is that what it does?
It attaches to inflammation and fixes. And so what they're saying this does, and
can you just tell me the guy's name so I can go suck his dick to see if it's gotten bigger? Because we don't know if it got bigger.
We don't, but you didn't do it before, so no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find photos of this guy's dick on the internet, is my guess.
I mean,
at least on
Reddit.
We need for the science. We need science.
Have you done the stem cells?
No, but I want to. Not for my dick, but for
what? Shoulders?
Yeah, my shoulders are.
Dude, shoulders are a thing. Like a lot of dudes did the shoulder because shoulders are ruthless. Like if you have a shoulder injury, it's gnarly.
I broke my shoulder. It was a nightmare. Have you broken yours?
No.
No.
I just it up.
Neil Elitrach is like the joint guy. Okay, he did like Kobe's ankle and Tom Brady's
How did you break your shoulder?
Snowboarding. It sounds cool when I say it like that. If I were to tell you it was my first time doing it, embarrassing. I was at a place called Yellowstone Club in Montana, and I fully smashed into the ground. My fake tits bounced off them, so I didn't get a concussion or hurt my head, thankfully. Nice. But I did fracture long ways in my shoulder. Went to Neil Elitrach, and he put in like PRP mixed with cortisone, these shots like deep in, and it did really help. But I all day kind of do this.
All day stretching. That all day.
That
I do this while I'm talking, I try to do it when I'm not podcasting.
If I did an impression of her, I'd be doing that.
That's all. I stretch
as I'm doing
while I'm
the
having
impression.
90% of the day.
Yes, totally.
What, does it make you feel better?
Have to. Well, yeah, I'm just so afraid of this shoulder like freezing.
You know? What happened to your shoulder?
I think
that's why I had to stop jerking off.
Yeah, it's good. That's why I stopped jerking, because it was my right shoulder that's injured.
No,
I actually,
brutal.
I think I injured it a long time ago playing football when I was younger, and I just never fixed it.
What position were you?
Well, I was a DB and a receiver when I was a kid. I was a lot skinnier.
Who's your football team?
49ers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, guys.
What?
It's nice. You know.
Is that where you're from?
Yeah, San Francisco.
Nice.
They're good.
They were really good. They won the Super Bowl. What? 5 years ago?
Yes. For a very long time, I kind of got out of football because they were so bad. Mm-hmm. And then I'm slowly coming back to it.
Do you have a girlfriend?
All right, guys, quick interruption for the podcast. Transcend Company. So a lot of people message me and ask me really often about like the supplements, the stuff that I take. Lately, I've been really, really a huge fan of BPC 157, and I've gotten all this stuff from Transcend. Their quality of all their stuff is top notch. Like everything is pharmaceutical. Everything is like FDA compliant. Everything is like above board. Really amazing. Lately, besides the BPC 157 for inflammation, because my knee had been giving me such a problem, and it just kind of made me avoid squatting in general, even though I promised I wasn't just avoiding it in general. It's because my knee was actually up. But also something I've been really into lately has been NAD plus and glutathione. All these things you guys can get from Transcend, along with TRT, along with tons of other peptides, tons of other things that you guys might be interested in. Give it a shot if you guys want to. I promise you, whether you're taking TRT or peptides or supplements or anything, if you're just trying to feel better, you're trying to look better, you're trying to be better, you need to know this stuff. It's so important. And Transcend is a really easy way to do it. Go to transcendcompany.com/RAWTALK to get 15% off if you're a first-time customer. Go give it a shot. I literally cannot recommend this enough. Get your blood work done. Do not wait. I cannot recommend it enough. transcendcompany.com/RAWTALK. First time, 50% off. Do it right now. Let's get back into this podcast.
I'm just obsessed with like how guys can be loyal to teams that don't even win, but they won't be loyal to a girl.
This is funny.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm not like a diehard. It's my team, my hometown. You know, I gotta love them. But
yeah, so I'm just curious. I mean, you've gotten like really successful.
Yeah.
Has that affected your personal life?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's almost made not my personal life non-existent because it has been, but it definitely affected my ability to build a strong relationship for sure. Because
With
of
a
my
girl?
100%.
Why?
Because I was so focused on the work side of my life and not so much the interpersonal relationship side of my life.
But I do feel like that our personal lives, if you talk for a living, like enrich this.
100%.
Podcasting, honestly, like it has cured in a lot of ways my deep workaholism for all the wrong reasons, because it's like you run out of things to say and you're like, I gotta go
Absolutely.
do stuff so that I have stories.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, let's have a personal life, let's go have a date night, like, and hopefully something will go wrong, but like, for art to imitate life, you have to have a life, right? So it's like
100%,
helped
yeah.
me to be a more well-rounded person, because I don't want to be a boring podcast.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. I mean, if I'm trying to look back at, because I had been in a relationship when I had first started my podcast,
Yeah.
and absolutely it benefited, because completely different perspective on things.
Yeah.
That's really the reason why, because I'd
Yeah.
have the conversations. I'd be like, oh, I didn't think of it that way.
Your home does not look like you have a girlfriend.
Really? Mm-hmm. Which part? Like the studio
Any
here?
of it.
Over there?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like you're going to make fun of the fact that I had Christmas decorations up. I don't know why.
Honestly,
I thought you would have went there first.
I gotta be.
And I didn't know it was a Christmas decoration.
I'm torn on this. Okay, I'm very torn on this. I like someone who's like loyal.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, that Christmas wreath is up, and I've committed to it. Okay, that is someone who, if I was like coming over to hang out with you to maybe date you, I'd be like, this is husband material.
He's serious about Christmas.
Yeah, he's
Very
he is
serious.
serious about cheer. Okay,
Yeah.
and joy. There's so, because I keep Christmas decorations up until like February, and then it instantly becomes like deeply depressing to me.
To see it.
But we were talking about this last night, remember? I was like, why
Yeah.
can't we listen to Christmas music any month except December?
It's
Any
super
month
weird.
except December, you're a serial killer if you listen to Christmas
I
music.
agree.
It's so eerie and spooky. And then I was like, sort of, this is like comedian brain, like obsessing over that. Do I write a joke about it? And then seeing your Christmas decorations, you know what it is? It's a power move. I respect it. I can't believe you haven't seen it. He was
Yeah.
like, oh, I didn't even notice that. You guys, it's
that's-
September.
Yeah.
It's been 9 months, and he's got a wreath on his front door, and he didn't know it till now.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. It just looked like green stuff, and I didn't even recognize the fact that it
Did
was
you
ever.
hang it?
No, I don't think I ever even hung it. No.
Okay.
I think I had an assistant at the time who had hung it.
Oh, okay.
And
Didn't come with
then,
the house.
and then
Okay.
probably got rid of the assistant and then
Okay.
it never
And she was
unhung
like,
itself.
Him, I'm just gonna leave this.
Well,
up.
I think maybe they left. They probably didn't come back. And I'll be honest, like it just wasn't Christmassy enough to me. It just looked like some green
It
stuff.
is. It's like a
Yeah, it's like a
looks
welcome light.
It looks like
Like
a
welcome
new ring
lights.
for hippies. I mean, it
Yeah.
is kind of just like,
Yeah,
it's just
leave it up
pine.
there. It's just, it's instead of it being plain, I was just like, honestly, I don't even think of it. Cause like when you came through the door, notice how the door is really big. I don't even look at that other door. I just go straight through the
I
door.
didn't see it.
See? See?
I'm obsessed with this. Okay, hot take. Gender's real. I mean, it's like the
So
first,
real.
The first thing I noticed. You haven't seen it for 9 months, and babe, you didn't even
I
notice
missed it. Yeah.
I did a bit but I think it was like my second special a long time ago. I've done 6 specials. This one was a very long time ago, so try not to judge too hard. But I was doing something about like, women, how we obsess about what you guys are thinking about. Like in our head, you're always thinking about like another woman or like,
Yeah.
whatever. And it's always another man, by the way. I'll ask him, I'm like,
yeah.
what are you thinking about? He's like, if I could beat that guy up. One time I said, I was like, what are you thinking about? And he went, Squidward's head, like without missing a beat. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Wow.
It's never a woman.
Because if you ask me, like, what are you thinking about right now? I screenshot right at that moment what was in my head. I'll be like, cartoon hot dog. Like, that's it.
Yo.
we really think that you guys are like plotting and planning how to cheat on us. And you're
No.
just like,
No.
SpongeBob's pants. And so I did a bit about how like we overthink how guys think. We assume guys think as complicated as we do. And I'm very jealous that you guys have such a sort of like simple inner monologue. And like my guess is when you guys drive, you just go like tree. And like it was like exaggerating, but when we drive around, he's like, look at that tree. He's like, that tree.
I did do that. I
He's
was
like,
like, whoa, crazy tree.
You've done it a couple times. I'm like, are you literally just like staring at trees? What's gonna happen this November when we have these
Oh my
elections?
God,
we
dude.
break into like World War III, and you guys are just like, look at that tree. I'm like, can we? But I think that the
We're
tunnel
clocking
vision.
Earth. We get it.
But you two are also very high performer, athletic, like single vision, tunnel vision people.
Yeah.
Does that?
Yeah.
Do you struggle with that in your relationships?
For sure. I think like I said, it's my focus on work has drastically affected my interpersonal relationships. I think I focused so much on what I was doing that like, I'll give you an example. From like 26 to like 32, it was almost like I wasn't even aware that time just went by so fast.
Yeah.
Because I was so focused on what I was doing.
Building this.
Building this, the
Spray
podcast
painting your
stuff.
house.
Nothing, no spray. I didn't do that. Someone else did that. But yeah, it's like my mind didn't even slow down to think like I should give this more time. Even though like part of me knew that I wanted it, it was just easier to focus on that I was good at.
Ruin someone's life. I like when people are like, I just don't want to be in something. I'm like, then don't be. Don't drag someone else into this. Like I appreciate, like I was the same way in my 20s. I was all about work. Like personal life, I was like, I don't even know how to love myself at this point. How am I going to show up for anybody else? Like I had this like Darwinian instinct that I just should not be dating in my 20s.
But I'm going to you up right now, but I was dating. So I would like, as I was doing that.
There were allegations on the way?
No,
he was
just
love bombed me.
No, as I was doing that,
me.
I was just, it was like I wanted it to be what I wanted it to be, but I wasn't enough.
But you can't do that anymore, or you get accused of being toxic. If you really like a girl and want to date her, and then you stop wanting to date her because of her personality, you will get accused of gaslighting and love bombing and being a malignant narcissist. You know what I mean?
Why do you feel that way?
That's just what I'm seeing. Maybe we have different algorithms, but I'm seeing like these great men being canceled because someone's like, he love bombed me. It's like,
wait, that's not a cancelable offense.
No, I think people just trying to. Do you know what I mean? Like in my day, if you were like heartbroken or someone didn't want to date you, you would just, I don't know, try to run into them at a thing, or you would do something kind of toxic. Like when you're a teenager, you drive by their house.
Now you get on the internet.
Now you get the internet and just accuse them of stuff so that they can never have another relationship. Or it's like, or people are just incapable now of looking at their part in things, or just surrendering to the fact that like, I met my guy we met way later in life than I assumed I was going to meet my like person. Yeah. But like we weren't fully realized sort of people yet, Yeah. And I guess like before that, you're just running around trying to make things work that might not work. Because I heard like, if you can find 80% of what you want, that's good enough. I got all this bullshit of like whether it was like TV or, my parents, what I saw with my parents is like you can change someone. Like you meet someone that's like 70% of what you want and then you change them. Like sick. Like a toxic, sick, you know what I mean? It's like, I love you, now let's get to work. Okay, so you're a 49ers fan, we gotta fix that. Or whatever it is, you would say, or you'd go like, I can live with that. And then you would build the resentments and, whatever. And like, I just think it's hard for people to wrap their head around. It took me a long time to understand that like, there's so few people that could be your person. Like most people aren't a match. It's not like he did this and he did this. No, you're just not a match. It's fine. Like and the more unique a person you are, the less matches there are gonna be for you. I remember that my therapist saying to me, because I'm in this program called Al-Anon ACA, which is like if you grew up around alcoholism and chaos and trauma and whatever, that you develop all these maladaptive behaviors. They work really well when you're in the home of origin, right? But then as you move out into the world, when you're mothering, micromanaging, martyring, trying to rescue people, trying to save people, martyring yourself and, self-depriving, addicted to perfectionism, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I don't know if you have the perfectionism thing, but I really have that. And, it took me a long time to just like realize like there's so few, the healthier you get, right? When you get healthy, the sick get angry, right? And then the healthier you get, the less people there are going to be for options for you. And my therapist said to me, she's like, be careful, just so you know, the healthier you get, the less options you're going to have.
Isn't that the goal? Like
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. But it's like, it's fascinating to me that we're sort of like, this relationship didn't work. Most of them don't work. Most people are not a match for you. And that goal is that you're so unique that there's so few people that are a match for you, So I think it took me a long time, because especially as you're in your 30s and you're going like, I guess this is as good as it's going to get. And then you start doing the timeline of like, if we get pregnant in 2 years, I'm going to have a kid in 3 years. And then we're going to, you know what I mean? And you just like settle.
Yeah, it seems like a lot more pressure for women to, I guess, kind of settle. Mm-hmm. Just because of that specific timeline with the baby. Yeah,
you guys can have, kids so much later.
But still, then as I'm older now, I'm like I also don't want to be an old dad.
Dude, I think young dad, I think older, I think women should, I'm kind of speaking out of my, but I'm 90% sure that I believe this. I feel like women should have kids later and guys should have kids early.
So I up then.
All the guys I know that had kids early are just like awesome dudes. Like I think it just simplifies a lot. And I think that sort of, you guys have this, need to chase, and your testosterone goes down a little bit to the point where I think it's just kind of like manageable. And I think that the chase of wanting to like sleep with a bunch of women and being distracted by all that, I think that need kind of gets satiated by like
taking care of the kid,
raising humans, raising your clones, and having your tribe.
I guess the same thing could be done in like focusing on a business. Not that the kid would be, not that it's the same thing. Sure. But if some guy has something that he's actually really focused on doing, you could be
building something. Yeah. But I think that like at the root of wanting to sleep with a lot of women is either gay or it's
gay.
It's so gay, dude. I do.
What makes it gay?
It's a little gay to like, I just think it's gay to sleep with a bunch of women and then talk about it with your guy friends. Like, that's gay.
Wait, what about that's gay?
Because you're trying to impress your guy friends. You're trying to get your guy friends to think about you. It's weird. Straight dudes just find the person they can have the most sex with. But if you're like chasing every night, it's about a chase. It's not about actually sticking the landing.
It's an interesting take.
Guys that are in relationships are straight because they get to have sex every single night. And there's something gay about not wanting to hang out with something feminine. It's about the hang too. To just want to sleep with a woman and then be like, I'm gonna go hang with my bros at the gym while they work out and I'm gonna go to the sauna with them. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, I love your house. I'm just saying, it's a very masculine house. You know what I mean?
Wait.
Like,
where are you going with this?
Except the wreath. There's some feminine touches. Like, I think that
I didn't put that up.
Straight guys appreciate the femininity of being around a woman.
The spending time part, not just having sex.
Yeah. So the idea of I'm just going to slam this and then go tell my bros about that.
It's kind of a funny.
I love your impression of a dude. Like, you clearly haven't been around that many guys talking about this, which is
all
awesome.
my friends are male comedians.
So it's like, just slam this chick.
When I realized that you were my person, because the thing that I look for the most, my kink is like respect. Like, I want a man that I am like can be in awe of and like, respect so much. Because doing stand up for so long, my impression of men was always that like, and like the first time I did an impression of you, it wasn't that. He was like, what should we do about that? And I was like, oh my God, I respect him. He's my guy.
Oh, shucks.
What are the biggest ways someone could show you that they respect you?
Ooh, I think good restraint. Me or how I show him?
How he would show you.
He would show me. I don't know if he respects me. I respect him.
I totally respect you.
We don't really argue or fight about anything petty. I choose my battles in a way that I have never chose my battles at the expense of my career and comedy. I put him over, like, because in relationships, like as a comic or as a storyteller, you're sort of like, what's this thing? Oh, you're using this thing? So you're doing this thing? Like mocking or making fun of him or trying to mine a joke out of it, or like, I don't ever want to do that with him.
Mine a joke.
Do you think it's though just because you've gotten older and you've done it and you realize it wasn't helping or it wasn't?
Did you just imply that I age?
Well, we all age. First of all, we all do that every day. We do that.
I definitely think there's a getting older and a getting more mature thing. So maybe it's a chicken and egg that because I'm older and more mature, I chose a man that I respected. But I think that there's the workaholic in me.
Or it's the fact that your therapist at one point told you that you lose. There's like it's getting small, and you're like, "F it, this works," and then you choose it, and you're just like, "That's it."
That's it.
Like, and you're like, "I have to respect him because I know that I need to respect him in order for it to work."
Yeah, because what choice do I have? I'm not like that though. Okay. I got financially independent because I grew up. My mom was a gold digger. I didn't understand that at the time. I was like, "Why do we both have to go on these weird dates with these like men that are so boring?" And then like, oh, but I have a watch now. Like, like a guy that she dated got me a car and like paid for my education. Yeah, so it's like women didn't have many options. There wasn't a girl boss culture back then. There wasn't OnlyFans. You know what I mean? My mom was like, she had like a whatever job. She worked at a department store and, didn't have money. And I don't think it was even weird back then, the concept of the transactional. Yeah. You date me because I'm pretty. I date you because you have money.
Well, I don't think it was weird at all.
I don't think it was weird. I think men actually, I think they probably thought it was hot too. It's like, I think Neil Brennan has the joke of like, we're mad at gold diggers, but we also kind of like showing off our gold. We kind of like, you know what I mean? Like,
you think it's weirder now then?
here's what I'll say. I think that a lot of guys hate gold diggers and gold diggers. These are the same guys. Sometimes, not all, that like post only their fancy cars and their Lamborghinis and their watches. And I'm like, but you hate gold diggers, but you love showing off. Like that's who you're going to attract. So someone like me is going to go like, oh, that's corny. Like this guy's insecure. Whereas someone that needs their rent paid is going to go like, hey. So it took me a while to figure this out too in my friendships of like, I didn't know how to be loved in my friendships. So I settled for being used. Like being used is often a very comfortable dynamic because you sort of know the deal and you're not going to, and I think sometimes guys do that too. I think guys are like, this girl needs money. This is safe. She can't leave. I'm in control or something like that. And then, they both benefit. It's like this thing with Aziz Ansari when Aziz got canceled or whatever that was. Remember that? That was like, I think it was before Cosby. And everyone was freaking out about like Louis C.K. and Aziz. And then Cosby happened and everyone was like, oh, wait, no, that's a crime. We overreacted to those other ones, right? And like no one was like, hey, sorry, guys. But I guess in the pandemic, we were all losing our minds. But it was like the Aziz thing when people are like slamming Aziz. And like, I'm not defending him. I don't really know Aziz well. He's never been particularly like nice to me. But like he, was using her for her looks and youth. She was using him for his fame. Like it felt like kind of a fair transaction in a way. I'm not saying either of them are healthy, but when you're in your 20s, I guess, who cares? But it's like, this is the thing I wonder about with you is once you get famous and rich, it is very hard to have someone take that into account. Yeah. I got really lucky with this guy because I don't know anything about skateboarding and I thought it was like his hobby. Like because he doesn't have the body of a skateboarder. Like
what's the body of a skateboarder?
Like willowy and like, gaunt and kind of just, you know what I mean? I just had this stereotype in my head of what skateboarders were like. And he's so like burly.
Usually shorter.
And you're very like,
skinnier.
He's very like, this is not the right word, but you know what I mean?
Can't wait.
You're kind of like blue collar in a way, in the way that he's very manly and like skaters are like, I got my Supreme and I got my, my hat with the price tag still on it. And I got the, you know what I mean? He's not like,
like the high beat.
Yeah. Like whatever, dude.
Yeah,
like
not that at all.
Yeah. I can like step on his shoes and he's not like, hey, watch the shoe. You know what I mean?
It's funny because skating this is for you was for it was all like hype beat. Like it was all about being like sort of anti-culture.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. There was a moment where I feel like a portion of skateboarding started to follow trends, whereas they were always the one to make them. And there's still tons of skaters that are creating trends, but we never had people that were following the trends really that I noticed. And then once I started seeing like skaters in jogger pants, I was like, like they had like Bruno Mars's haircut and they had jogger pants. And I was like, oh, this isn't the same.
Yeah.
Like, what year was that? When Bruno Mars probably started popping off, right?
Yeah, it was like around 2011, 12-ish. Like I started seeing like people like following the trend.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
But it's interesting because it's like you look back at like Tony Hawk back in the day, like he was wearing pink. You know what I mean? This was in like the 80s.
Yeah,
you know
and he had a
like,
McSqueeb haircut.
Yeah, men didn't wear pink.
So
he was wearing like pink and like, all these like lilac, like wild colors. And I was like, whoa. Like they were like, I think there's something so cool about what you do for a living is so ballsy and fearless that you can wear pink and no one's gonna be like, you're a pussy,
Totally.
It
also gives you freedom to like, people would be like, what's your like guilty pleasure, like music? I'm like, I don't have one because I have no shame. Yeah. With like whatever I'm listening to, I'm like, this is a good tune.
Dude, serious.
Cold Hearted Snake? Fire.
Dude, my first concert, Paula Abdul, Rush, let's go. But also a lot of skaters, I guess the impression I was getting is they're like too cool for school. They're too cool to be fans of other people. There's kind of this emo thing, like we're cooler than you or some like sort of a nihilistic take. And he's so relentlessly positive, like loves the Eagles. Like I was like, oh, I didn't realize.
Were you always that way though?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, you were goth. He was goth kid.
Yeah, but I was still like polite.
Yeah.
Still polite guy.
I just thought that skaters were kind of dicks.
That's kind of like the culture, though.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know when the last time that would have been. I had to have been like a teenager at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
like,
also you were so successful so young that you had to have sportsmanship and be like the captain of skaters.
I always like rooted for the hero in a movie though too. Like the villain always looked really cool. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was tough to have like a Joker shirt or something. but I was
But be
always
low-key
rooting.
nice.
I was always rooting for Batman.
Yeah.
It's people said. My friend said this to me that hippies are bad people cosplaying as good people, and metalheads are good people cosplaying as bad people.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's sick. And I think that also skate culture is similar. And I think part of the reason that, it's like when you're finding your person, and maybe you found your person, hopefully, whatever. But like when you find something that's adjacent to your business, but not your business, but you need the same brain to accomplish it. Because I was like, what am I going to do? Date an actor? Like, I can't date a man that wears makeup. Like, I can't do a man that, like, people that are like, I'm dating this actress, I'm dating this actor. It's like, you're signing up to be with someone who lies for a living. Like, their job is they pretend. And they win prizes for lying. Like, have we lost our minds? And then comedians, I love them. They're just all my friends, and it would feel like incest. I know that's the number one porn these days, but not for me. And then skating, the trajectory is actually wildly similar, at least street skating to comedy. Like, you're starting in parking lots, you're like hurting yourself over and over to try to figure out this one thing. You're touring, you're not making any money. And like, the only thing that carries you is like your positive attitude and going like, I would rather fail at this than succeed at anything else.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
The kind of drive and ambition you have to make it as a comic or as a skater or what you do, like, we could do other jobs and probably figure it out pretty fast, but we're choosing to do it the hard way. We're choosing to.
When did you decide to be a comedian? How do you even decide to be a comedian? Because it's such like a God-given thing.
My parents decided by becoming alcoholics, I think. I don't know if you decide, like, it's like, I don't know, don't you feel like you were did you decide to do this, or it was chosen for you in a way?
Yeah.
Like comedy, it's like, I know there's a lot of people kind of doing comedy now that aren't necessarily comedians, that had parents that like loved them and read to them, and like, that's awesome. That wasn't my generation before me. It was like, I grew up in an alcoholic home where at a very young age, I saw acrimonious fighting and drinking and violence and nasty shit. And I took it upon myself, as I guess the youngest, a mistake, obviously. When you're the youngest, usually, in my case, I was a mistake, but usually you have to fit into an already established system and figure out what your role is pretty quickly. And your parents are sometimes done parenting. And very quickly, I was like, I got to cheer these people up. Like, da-da-da-da. And I would watch my dad watch like Rodney Dangerfield or SNL. He wouldn't be paying attention to me, but I'd be like, okay, I got to do that. I got to like be silly and try to make him laugh. And so at a very young age, I started trying to make alcoholics and laugh. And as an adult, I go make drunks laugh. It's kind of like very simple
serendipitous
for me, but I just love doing it. I also think as someone that felt very like alone and, I was there was like severe kind of neglect for me. And that's something a lot of people don't talk about, just like being alone a lot as a kid. And you have to develop this internal life, this internal fantasy. I would like disassociate, pretend I was other people, pretend I was adopted, pretend I was a horse, pretend, whatever. And then, I thought that people like couldn't see me. This sounds so crazy, but you feel invisible. And you're like, that when I go out and I stare at people?
It's wild, dude.
Wait.
It's so insane.
Well, when was your earliest memory of feeling like that, though?
Oh gosh, I remember as a kid. I remember like, I don't know if you've ever done EMDR or any kind of like trauma stuff, but EMDR, eye movement reprogramming and desensitization, was developed, I believe, in the 70s.
I've done ayahuasca. Done none of that.
I want to do that again.
Yeah.
I did it once and I kind of like half it. The guy was like dancing in front of me and I just couldn't. I couldn't.
Did it with a male stripper?
I did, yeah, exactly. I did it in Hong Kong. It was great.
Yeah.
And I just was like, it was so silly, and my comedian brain could not turn off. And I did very much feel like it was power of suggestion. And so I'm so stubborn. I had to try to like resist it.
It's not going to go well.
I need to do it I did it after my dad died, and I like was fighting it. I was fighting the grief.
Yeah.
Because I think ultimately I needed to just cry, and I like had to fight it. Lost my train of thought. Oh, I did this thing called EMDR. It's pretty amazing. It like connects the hemispheres of the brain, and like how you remember that I Love Lucy episode? I never saw it. Like the video of like an assembly line of like, is it cocaine?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Chocolates.
Yeah.
And then it starts building up and building up. So the way it was explained to me in a way that at least I understand is that our brain is taking in like 3 billion pieces of information a second, right? I'm looking at, what you look like, what this room smells like. This
colors,
is a black,
yeah.
soft, couch, and there's like marble right here, and then there's this thing, and there's this like white symbol, and there's a light here, and whatever. And so our brain is taking all this information, filing it into different folders. And if someone comes in right now and holds a gun to our head, our brain freezes, right? The freeze response. And even though we're in our freeze response, the information keeps coming in. So it files into the folder of trauma, right? So if someone comes in, tries to kill us, doesn't, whatever, that was a traumatic event. In 2 years, it's my wedding day, and I'm sitting in a hotel, and there's a black couch that's velvet and soft, and all of a sudden I'm in a panic, and I'm irritable, and I'm snapping at people, and I'm uncomfortable, and I don't really know why, because I wouldn't have put that together. So what EMDR does, it goes back to the traumatic incident, and you kind of take all these benign things out of the trauma folder so that you're not.
Goes back in how though? What way?
Goes back in.
Like, how do you go back to that moment? Like,
you do this thing. You have basically these little vibrating things in each of your hands. Sometimes they'll use something and go back and forth on your knees, like a little wand kind of thing. And you go back and forth from both sides of the brain, and you relive it, and you say all the things you remember from the room. Okay. So I used to, funny that you had a Christmas decoration up, I used to hate Christmas. Like, in a rational, curmudgeonly way, it made me angry. When you go to the mall in October and there's Christmas decorations up, I'd be like, why? I would get so mad. Mariah Carey's Christmas album, I'd be like, shut it off.
Can't get away from that either.
It would make me so mad. Now it's and Christmas stuff would just stress me out. The smell of pine, the smell of wrapping paper. I was like, oh, I have misophonia. I hate the sound, because I was diagnosed with all this shit, autism and Asperger's and misophonia, which is when things sound really loud to you, which is now something I still have, but it benefits me a lot. I kind of look at all the things that I was diagnosed with that are negative and found the career where it's all positive, So I do loud noises really stress me out, and I can hear very small noises from far away, but as a comic, that's great, because you can hear every laugh, you can hear a rapper, you can hear someone talking, it's, I think you just have to find, I think we over pathologize ourselves, and it's no, maybe these things are all working for you. Just find the job or the person or whatever it is where it's actually a superpower instead of, an obstacle. And so I went and did EMDR because I was just dealing with anxiety and anger, and it was around a holiday, and I would always perform on Christmas. I do shows on New Year's Eve. December, I would just tap the fuck out. I was like, you guys are crazy. This is dumb. Santa Claus, what are we, 5? So much anger would come up, and then I was able to sort of dislodge this memory of, in alcoholic homes, often holidays are very hectic. It's when people all get together.
All alcohol.
Everyone gets drunk. You're going to get me this present, and I got you that. It's just where all the shit comes out. And so there was a Christmas specifically that got really violent and, dramatic. And, so I just had a really bad association with holidays. And I just had to dislodge, Christmas tree, presents, eggnog, all the. And now Christmas, you've seen it. I have 2 Christmas trees, and I have Christmas tree decorating parties, and
But so my original question, I'm glad you went off on that gigantic tangent about Christmas.
That's my brand.
Was no, I loved it. When did you first experience something where you recognized it and you were young? You're like, oh, this is a part of me now. When you were younger and the trauma's happening, and you look back on it now.
Yeah.
At what age do you have the first memory?
Of using comedy to diffuse? I think there were a couple. I remember my parents fighting. They got divorced at a pretty young age, but they would go back and forth. They lived a couple blocks from each other. My dad would come over and take us when he wasn't supposed to. My mom would break in. It was we were weaponized. And I remember making my mom laugh because she had to stay in this apartment close by, and I remember going to her house. We were always going back and forth, and it's very small. It's not a funny joke at all. It just made her laugh at the time, where we came in and I was like, should we lock the door just in case our own father tries to come see us? It was just that. It was and she kind of laughed, but it was, this thing where I'd go to my mom's house and we'd have to lock the door, not for intruders, not, we had to lock the doors and worry about the other parent coming over to kidnap their own child, and that's the only time she would care, and so, a stranger would be talking to me and I'd be like, this is fine, but if dad tries to talk to me, you're going to call the police, because it was just such backwards land. So I think it was just those observations. And I think that at a young age, I realized if I said something that was just true about my life, people would laugh because it was so ridiculous.
Are you 8, 7, 14?
Yeah, probably 7 or 8. And then I remember one time I don't mean to like bring up trauma and bore everybody.
No,
I
I
feel
want to
like
hear
I was
it.
about to get boring.
No, I want to hear it.
No, it was like when I was a kid, like, and again, I have such compassion for our parents. Like now, especially now that I have a kid, I'm like, how did my parents get any of this done? Like, it's so much to manage, and doing it drunk and hungover. Like I actually feel
impressive.
The fact that I survived is kind of a miracle. I also remember them joking a lot. Like my dad was hilarious. He looked exactly like Dan Aykroyd. Everyone thought he was Dan Aykroyd. I thought he was Dan Aykroyd till I was like 13. And he would sign autographs for Dan Aykroyd and take photos with people, which is so funny thinking about it. And, I think sometimes the people that are often in the most pain, addiction, are charming. And my dad was like this incredibly charming dude, like I don't know if you ever saw Three Amigos, but
yeah.
He would pick me up from school. It would always be like 4 hours late. I was that kid at school that was like, would go home with a teacher. Like I'd have to stay after. My parents would forget about me, whatever, or they just couldn't figure it out. But when he would show up, it was always like he'd hide behind a car and be like, look up here. That from that Three Amigos thing. So like, he was hilarious because he had to distract you from how much he had dropped the ball, So I remember just going like, comedy can fix anything. Everyone is mad at this guy. But as soon as he does show up, he's like so funny that everybody forgets about it. So I was like, laughter is this like magic trick.
Do you think that it requires do you think most comics to actually be funny have to go through something like really up? Because it's a common, like I've talked to a lot of comedians and it's always like from someplace dark, they create something light. Even if it's
not their trauma, I think that whatever ancestral trauma they've inherited. So like that's part of the reason like, Jews, Jewish immigrants kind of invented stand-up comedy, So even if they weren't the ones that escaped and got out, their parents were, and they had to cope with so much trauma that laughter was what, they had to use to cope. I do think that humor is a coping mechanism. So whether it's your exact life or the ancestral trauma that you inherited, are you down on your ancestral trauma?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
But what's your ancestry, do you know?
Italian.
Oh, nice. That's
immigrants.
Big. That's really interesting because I was just thinking the one person that I think of who I don't feel like had trauma that I'm close to is Sebastian. But I was going to say he's got Italian ancestry and there's so much, trauma sort of in that, and so, to me it's like, I think trauma is a word that gets thrown around. It used to be reserved for like emergency room doctors to say, but whatever. So I think that the hard part about trauma per se is like something that's traumatic to someone else isn't traumatic to you necessarily. So when I talk to these like LA girls that like their lives were great and they're out here and they're just like, I had the biggest trauma today. And I'm like, what happened? And they're like, the 405 was so, and I'm like, what? But their life has been so easy that that's legitimately hard for them.
Yeah. Perspective.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can't say that wasn't as hard for you as,
Yeah, their feeling for it is a real feeling. Just the situation probably would warrant it if you had a harder life.
If you've had no adversity, that's probably really hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, just because my tolerance for trauma is so high doesn't mean, whatever.
Yeah.
So it is all relative. I feel like I have to say that. Like, in order to have, need to cope, you don't have to come from an alcoholic home where, things happen to you and I the way that they happen to you and I. I think that like, I know people that are really funny that just like had an older sister who was like the beautiful prom queen and they just weren't. And then they had to figure out a way to be funny or get attention, So I think it can be as simple as that. I think that comedians, I'm the first person to say that, yes, I do think that, something has to happen for you to need to feel heard on the level that we do, that need to feel seen. And what I forgot to say earlier is like corroborated, because I felt invisible for so long, going on stage and saying like, when this happens, isn't it whatever? I'm just thinking of a random joke, like growing up, like people are, saying that phones are so bad for kids. Fine. But like what we went through is so much worse. Like we played on like a slide made out of sheet metal, they're baked in the hot sun. Dude. You laughing at that, like that makes me feel like I'm not crazy and that I'm seen.
He's like, relate to it. Though.
Yeah, you guys are like, okay, you guys saw that too, right? Like that's kind of what it is for us. We do want to make people laugh and bring them joy because we feel like we're not productive or useful, and unless we give other people joy and help them escape. Or because we know what it's like to feel pain and we want to, like, we're drug dealers, we're trying to like give you guys drugs. That's kind of what we do. We want everyone to feel good all the time because we know what it's like to feel bad. and also I think there's an obsession with the truth. I think that that's the main thing that a comedian requires. And I think many times that comes from trauma of like I grew up around so much passive aggressive bullshit. That's a big alcoholic thing. And like lying of like people that hated each other that were like, can you please pass the salt? Like passive aggressive, where you're like, I feel like you guys hate each other, but you're pretending you don't. Like kids are smart. They know.
Yeah.
And then so for me, I just hate an elephant in a living room. I hate people pretending, people lying, people being full of shit. And comedians, we're the ones that we have like Tourette's. We're like, that's not what happened. Like, that's not, but that kind of feels weird. I don't know about that. Like,
So you write jokes around that elephant? You write jokes around the thing that people avoid?
At this point, just saying the truth is a relief to people. I think we're the people that want to just go like, this feels weird. We're like in the tribe, like I'm fascinated with in tribal times, what role would you have played? You'd probably be a warrior is my guess.
Probably.
You might be an orator too, though. You might be someone that is one of the elders that passes stories on because you're also a speaker, So a warrior when you're playing football, and then as you get older, you're kind of one of the wise.
You know what I felt? Something you said that was so interesting that I'm wondering, when did you start even hearing about this ancestral trauma? It's kind of off what we were talking about a little bit, but when did you start even becoming privy to that idea? Because most people who probably heard that right now are probably like, what the fuck are you talking about? Mm-hmm. But I get you're talking about through the generations before you of your bloodline of people that have basically dealt with issues that are genetically handing it kind of down to you in a way through, reproduction.
Awesome. I love this. I cannot wait to dig into this. This is my dream. Let me just close the latch on that, which is I think my place in the tribe would have been like the town crier. Who were we just talking to where that was their last name? Who was it?
Dude.
Who was it?
Jeez.
We were just talking, because your last name often is the etymology of your last name is what you descend from. What's your last name, Texas? Headman. So your ancestors gave a lot of head. Mine's coming. So both of our ancestors were disgusting. You know what I mean? If your last name is Tanner, your parents were probably Tanners. You know what I mean? Baker, they were bakers. That's
shoemaker.
Your last name was your job.
Blacksmith.
Blacksmith, whatever it is. Coal. I mean, I don't know if you had coal miners in your ancestry.
I don't know what it all works out. Yeah, we do. But yeah.
But so I think that knowing what you would have been in the tribe, also learning about the night watcher theory of like, because I struggled with insomnia for so long, but there were certain people in the tribe that would be nocturnal to stay up all night to assess for threats. And they would breed with, other night watchers. And it developed like a group of people that just like are more awake and alive at night. Those people that just like can't fall asleep till 4. They feel, more awake at night. So I did a movie about neuroscience. I got obsessed with why I could not, sorry, I just don't want to over pathologize myself and over self-deprecate because I just got obsessed. Well, first of all, I had chronic migraines my whole life. And so I was already obsessed with the brain and how it worked.
I get migraines too.
You really?
So annoying.
Oh, I can help you with this. So does
cascading migraines and then
really?
Yeah.
Is it ocular or
visually like blurry,
get the fuzz. Yeah.
And then it goes and then a little bit of a headache.
Do you know about like the common denominator and the times that it happens? Have you like?
Maybe dehydrated, maybe stress.
Mm-hmm. So migraine brains.
Those are my two.
We know very little about migraines. Doctors have developed a pill so that y'all's dick can stay hard for 4 hours, but they will not study migraines.
I mean, which one's more important, really?
We have 5,000 birth controls, but no migraine medications because it is predominantly a woman thing. But the migraine brain does not like change, which is actually kind of like a winner thing, is the migraine brain needs to be routinized, right? So it doesn't really matter what you eat or how, don't drink every night if you get migraines, right? But whatever it is, it needs to be consistent. If you're going to drink coffee, that's fine. Just drink it at the same time every day, okay? Sleep the same amount every day. Work out at the same time. Migraine doesn't like change. So I actually think in some weird way, my migraines helped with making me a prolific person because I really had to stick to a schedule for my migraines. I couldn't stay out till 2 a.m. because I'm like, this is going to f me tomorrow.
To not get the migraines.
The migraine brain does not like change.
Got it.
Right? So a big thing that happened to me when I started working out hard is when you're making lactic acid, that can trigger a migraine. So it's like I had to work out the same time every day and I couldn't really mess around with like leg day and then arm day. I'm like, I kind of have to do the same thing, find like a routine. So the migraine doesn't like change. So like when I travel and have a time difference, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and just stay on the same time zone. Just because you're, brain can't catch up. Birth control is also a problem. There's a lot of things, but light, I don't know if you, light is a big one.
Yeah.
Making sure, the reason I'm being such a dork wearing glasses today is that like, if you're straining, like you have to make sure that your eye prescription is up. If you have any vision issues, smell is a big one as well. Like I'm the person on a plane. If someone starts spraying perfume, I'm like, excuse me, ma'am. People get migraines. You can't do that.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
I just hate like overpowering smells. Like why the do you want to
what
smell
are you
like
doing?
that?
Like what? Also, I do have these two, whether it's placebo effect is an effect. I have these date piercings on both sides of my ears. That's like the pressure point for migraines. And it has helped since I got them.
You just press them?
No, they're just pierced.
They're already there.
It's just pierced. Yeah.
You know what's interesting about the perfume thing?
Tell me.
People go so hard with perfume that like, if you're on a motorcycle, you can smell things through your helmet, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you'll smell someone's perfume on a highway. Like, so they've rolled down the window and
maybe
they smell
because you're going back and forth on your motorcycle in front of Hong Kong. Maybe that's
got to be it.
Are you a motorcycle guy?
Yeah. They have a Harley.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So can I just ask a question about this?
Yeah, of course.
I'm not saying you can't have a motorcycle. That's not my place. I would never.
Wait, it sounds like you told me you couldn't have a motorcycle.
No, I didn't. Have I ever said that?
No, she hasn't.
I would never. I respect
Probably
you.
say it in different ways. It sounds like we're good in there.
She doesn't want me to die.
Of course not.
That's how she kind of like.
Well, he just got to ride with groups of people.
Okay.
I don't ride alone.
I'm asking dead.
I never even thought of that.
I don't ride alone. Yeah. That's it.
I'm like, that is a good idea.
That's it.
Because it helps control you, or
No, because
People see you.
People see you. If there's like 5 of you,
Whoa.
you're all together, and it's actually harder to not see it than to, if it's a singular person, it's
I
much easier.
love that.
Yeah.
Okay. See, he's not insane. He has a motorcycle, but he's not.
It's fair.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't want to die. I love my life. It's great.
It's the kind of thing where I'm asking for, I'm sure many women listen to your podcast that date men like you. Like, what do you do as a woman about the motorcycle thing? I know I can't tell you can't have it, but I'm scared. I just have to deal.
Yeah.
I try to do little things, although it won't stop me from dying. I do make sure that you know that I'm on it, and then I text you that I got to each destination.
He does.
So the moment I get on the bike,
I couldn't do that.
But when you do that, it makes me think a bike is even more dangerous.
I mean, it's dangerous.
Pick your poison,
It is.
babe.
Every time you get to a place, you're like, okay, I made it by the skin of my teeth. Like,
It is dangerous.
Sometimes
but it's like so fun.
Sometimes I did.
And I think that I'm not unique in this, but my uncle worked at Texas Instruments in Texas, obviously.
Brag.
Which he used to assemble T-Bird cars, put them back together. I would watch him assemble motorcycles, put them back together, had a bunch of motorcycles. Couldn't be a more responsible, understanding of the machine type person. He died in a motorcycle accident and his head was removed from his body. I mean, decapitated from his body. And I remember being like, huh? Like in Mad Max, they just slide. Like the head came off his body. And then the first week I moved to LA, I was living on La Cienega and Sunset, right in front of the Comedy Store. There's an intersection there. 2 people tried to beat the light. One was a motorcycle, one was a car. I watched a motorcycle get hit. And it was so shocking how fragile the human body really is. He went up in the air. The head came down first because the head's heavier, I guess, whatever.
Yeah.
And then his shoes came off.
Shoes always come off.
Yeah. It's always coming off.
See, guys know this.
We're all fine with this?
Shoes.
They're
This is
all
fine,
yard
just
sale.
casual?
Shoes gone.
But with laces.
Oh yeah, they can be Rambo lace.
He should have had boots on.
But how? What happened? His ankles broke?
I think they probably went limp, and then
They just go limp, and then they just slide
But try
out
to
of your
knock
shoes.
my shoe. You can knock my. And then head comes down.
It's a whip. Like your feet whip.
Yeah.
Just come off.
So I think I've seen those two. I guess I'm just gonna just shut my whore mouth.
Yeah, just let them do it.
Yeah.
No, just ride with people. Just get a group of people.
I like that.
That's the key.
I need to get a group
I
of
like
people.
that.
I also need to get a bike up here in case of emergency.
Well, his whole thing is if there's like an earthquake, I need a motorcycle so I can get through the traffic.
I like the
I love that
thought.
you think that the earthquake is the threat here.
I like
not
the
the
thought.
motorcycle.
I think it's more like World War III.
Yeah.
Civil War's the threat here.
Oh,
Turn it
yeah.
off.
Is that it? Is that the game plan to get out?
I don't know. I mean, I got a
you're selling
van.
me.
I don't know. I don't know.
Ooh.
Because it just seems like it's going to be, if that happened, we're all trying to get out. No one's getting out. There's too many people on cars. So the motorcycle does, I got a dirt bike. I probably ripped the dirt bike.
Oh, do you go over?
This way you can
jumps
off
and
road
stuff?
wherever.
Well, yes, but like not normally. But what I'm saying is like if I had a dirt bike, it'd be way easier to maneuver than the Harley. For
Totally.
sure.
You could
Like if
take
I'm
that
really trying to get the out.
But where are you going? Where you go?
Well, I don't know.
Foothills.
We don't.
Yeah.
Where to the other
To the
war?
desert, to where there's less-
everything. But for what? Then won't that be on fire too? Like, where do you go?
Where there's less people, probably.
Less people.
They're all trying to get out.
Less people, high ground.
Yeah.
But what are you going to
somewhere-
put on a dirt bike that you can sustain yourself with?
I got like
I'm a hold steady.
Duct for sure.
We
duct
stay
tape.
and fight from here.
Yeah.
Wait.
It's going to be intense.
I say we get a plan that's like everyone come to my house or something. Or
I have a
everyone
bunch
comes-
of guns.
Or we come here. Okay, me, you,
I have none guns.
Shab, we all
Bow and arrow,
gotta stay
Yeah, we all come here.
and fight from here. Getting out seems like a bad idea. Because you don't know what's
So I'll have to hunt because I got the bow and arrows.
I got a composite boat too.
Yeah,
And I
okay.
got a bunch of guns.
you got a freezer full of elk.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah.
You got a bunch
guys
of
can come
goat
here.
balls in the freezer out
for
The
a
front.
minute.
I'm just like, if this really happened, it's just like the sustainability of it just sounds bad. Because at some point, people are just going to be on top of each other, trying to like take what everyone else has.
Tried to. Well, don't make it hot.
That's the big problem.
You know what I've always wanted to do? Maybe you're the person to do it with because you have a brand brain. Is like we need to update the first aid kit.
Interesting.
A first aid kit.
Wait, what is it missing?
A cell phone charger,
External battery charger.
and an antenna.
Wow.
Like athletic greens. I don't know.
Magic one.
Magic mind.
Yeah.
Promo
fuck.
code Whitney, not raw talk.
That's so funny.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, I know the woman from Shark Tank a little bit, and I'm like, someone needs to update this. By the way, tampons, condoms, I don't know, just like stuff Viagra, whatever we would need today. First aid kit, like for
Dude's
real.
whole first
Pocket
aid
knife,
kit is just Viagra. The whole
bullets.
thing. You
Some
open it
solar.
up and you open it up in horror. It's just all Viagra, and you're like, oh my god,
Cyanide.
oh my god, he didn't bring anything else.
Cyanide.
Cyanide, I don't know,
Yeah.
EpiPen,
Yeah, EpiPen. Well, it's like, so you're thinking,
Ooh,
bath
yeah.
salts,
well, there's like a first aid kit, and then it sounds like you're talking like end of the world kit. Though.
both.
Yeah.
First aid.
Right.
First
He's
aid
right.
kit.
He's right. I think we could update both with a sick package.
You do one package that fits on your motorcycle, so when you do need to get out when it's World War III, you actually have shit with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just the person everyone's going to eat.
You need solar for sure. You need like a little solar generator.
There's
thing.
there's
I like
a
that.
company listening to this now.
Who?
At us, just
Let's
like
go.
me. I did it. Why don't you Google something?
Or no, they're just like, we're going to go do that and not tell
Yeah,
them.
they're just gonna create that package.
Yeah, we can bring some of your toys.
Do you think we go there? Yeah, well, the toys aren't gonna help. Do you think it ever gets to a point where it ever really hits the fan? It seems like we're just going
Yes,
that way.
I think it's going to hit the fan, is my guess, in a really rough way. And I think it's something we've seen before. Tex, are you like Jamie on Rogan? Do you like Google things?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Could you Google the
Let me go pee real quick.
the alien radio
Ooh, I want to pee.
go in the 20s?
I'm not gonna go while he's going.
Oh, sorry. Stop acting like men don't pee together in one room with their dicks out. Alien radio show hoax. I think it was like the 1920s.
Oh, yes,
Am I getting this right?
yeah. And
War of the
people
World.
f***ing killed them. Yeah,
That's
War of the
right.
World.
War of the
People killed
Worlds.
themselves. Like
Right.
people killed their family.
That's right. So this was like a radio show, right? It was a Halloween episode of a radio series, The Mercury Theater on the Air, directed and narrated by Orson Welles. That was my guess. I thought I was wrong. As an adaptation of H.G. Wells' The novel The War of the Worlds. It was performed and broadcast live at 8 p.m. on October 30th, 1938 on CBS Radio Network. The episode is famous for inciting a panic by convincing, I can't see, some members of the listening audience that a Martian invasion was taking place though the scale of panic is disputed, as the program had relatively few. So I think that there will be a mass panic as a result of an AI image or a, ChatGPT video or something.
Yeah.
I think this is the War of the Worlds broadcast in 1938, and it incited a panic, but it was fiction, but people conflated it with news. I think what will happen is a fake video, an AI generated thing, something is going to incite a panic that
Okay.
Whether it's by accident, whether it's real, I think we're like on the verge of this. Like,
Well, this is kind of like the beginning of the COVID thing, and everyone's buying fucking toilet paper, that sort of, but on a
Right, the
different
panic.
scale.
Y2K.
But different scale, different. Like obviously, what we're talking about is like way scarier as far as like people fighting for resources. But I think that stuff's going to happen, and we're going to see it not as like a nationwide thing. We're going to see it in little pockets of like lower class areas are going to have this problem, and we're going to be like, oh, do you hear what's happening in that town? And so people can separate themselves in Pleasantville, thinking that like that's not going to affect them in their class society.
Also, Kent State
and
massacre,
then it will
like,
spread.
They sent like, you know, they sent government troops against citizens. Like, I'm not going to speak for any of these administrations. Like, you know, the current one is already like trying to censor
God,
in a way that is really wild. And I do think that with what's going on with the economy, people have very little to lose right now. And they're online all day looking at images that may or may not be real. I think we're like at the precipice of truly not being able to know what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And someone can easily, by the way, some dork that's making a mistake. So, you know, we used to, you know, I didn't do this, but, you know, people call in bomb threats when they're 15, 16. You dox people, you do dumb. We used to prank call people. We used to egg people's houses. Like, this new generation of teenagers are just gonna be like, let's make this fake video that looks like people are at war in Toledo.
Yeah.
And it's gonna go out and people are gonna be like, what the you know, it might just be some like that.
Yeah, like the biggest thing is almost like what's actually true now is
this
like,
incited a mass panic. In 1938, people started like killing their family members, and you know they thought they were going to war. So I think that, you know, we're gonna see something crazy. Or went after the election, like, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
it looks a little. A lot of people are going to be very unhappy no matter what happens in November.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just, like I said, it just seems like we're just coming to this weird point of what's actually true and what the government wants us to think or believe is like, is it real? Is it not? And then when you talk about, like you said, the current administration talking about, oh, you know, so-and-so, it's a privilege to be able to say this on this social media platform.
Crazy. Like, Kamala said that, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah, Kamala said it's a privilege to be able to have X or
for Elon Musk to be able to say what he's saying on that platform, because like it could be misinformation. Then the question is like, well, misinformation for who and for what? And it's just like, it's a very weird thing that like they're teetering on. There should be consequences for this, which is like, that's just like, well, at what point is it just because it's not agreeance with what you want people to be in agreeance with? Is it we saying that this is misinformation or wrong? And it's like, that's scary as no matter what side you like or don't like, when that concept lies on you. And it's like, what the is going on? How are we getting there? How are we really getting there? It's insane.
Then look, it's like, you know, I think that you know, I remember reading the newspaper. Like, I was like a dork about reading the newspaper at a very young age. And I remember there were two sections in the newspaper. I grew up like around DC, Virginia, and it was like, there was like the news and then there was like opinion pages.
Yeah.
You know, it would like specify the difference. Looking back, you know, the news was also on some level super biased. So it's like, it was probably all opinion. And that was like a false kind of choice. But I do think that it would be nice to know like what someone's opinion is versus someone like Elon Musk is like so smart that if he does say something that isn't true or is, you know, whatever, like you're like, well, it must be true because he's so smart. He does have this such incredible influence. Like, and I like Elon Musk. Like I know a lot of people hate him. Right? I think people are just mad at everyone who's rich and successful right now. But I think that, I don't know if it's because he has all these kids or, I mean, he only dates aliens. I mean, the women he dates, their eyes are very far apart. It's fine. Everyone's got their thing. But he, where am I going with this? I've really like lost my ability to stay on topic because I still want to make sure that I get back to your question about the ancestral trauma thing. But like remember when he said that like we're running out of people? He was
population,
like, we have a population issue. And it's only like billionaires that are like, we're running out of people. Only the people that like buy products and make them rich, but also like Elon Musk, like you only fly private. Like you think there's a population decline because you don't see people. You fly private, like go to LAX, like go to.
No, I think he's basing it off of numbers.
Yeah, he's basing it off of. I think he's basing it off of numbers as far as
birth rates are going down.
Way down.
Birth rates are going down.
This is good news to everyone else, right?
They need to. They need to go down.
But
I don't know.
Because we got more people. We got more people and more people and more people. And so the birth rate for this many people.
But if you have a business that sells to this many people, it's a problem for a billionaire. It's not a problem for most people. Most people are like, yeah, less competition for jobs. Great. But like billionaires, like Bill Gates, like we need more people because we need to vaccinate more people because I'll get even richer. And you're like, how many people? Or they need workers, you know? That's kind of like why, you know, or they need voters or they need whatever. So it's like, I think most people are like, yeah, I'd like to
we can just get all the immigrants to come in.
We don't need to import them. Right. They're skipping over here happily. So it's like, I think most people are like, the problem is there's too many people. We can't get to work. The traffic is too bad. Like we can't.
I feel like we're probably isolated thinking LA. Because this can't be, it's not that crazy everywhere. No way.
That like totally, I think all major cities, but I don't know that many people are like, you know what the problem is? We need more people. You know, I don't know. I think that's what drug companies want. I think that's what people with corporations want. But in general, do you think there's not enough people or that we're in a...
Yeah, I couldn't. If I just went off of data and just the amount of people working...
Like less pollution, less, especially if AI is going to take over, like the less people we have, the less people that are going to lose their jobs. Like I think until we figure out whether people can actually sustain, you know, life. I mean, I have lots of family members that have jobs that could easily be replaced by AI, you know, and you just go like, well, I mean, looking out. I mean, this is not just LA. We were just in Phoenix and there's these self-driving Wehoos.
Yeah.
Wawa cars. Waymo. The self-driving Ubers. Self-driving.
Waymo?
Waymo is what it's called.
Just in a car,
these fucking
nobody
Silicon Valley nerds, man. Like, you losers. They are just, we should have bullied them harder. The fact that we stopped bullying the nerds is why the world is, we should have left them in those lockers where they belonged. I knew you were a bunch of psychopaths. I knew we shouldn't have started feeling sorry for you. Like, they now are just taking everybody's job. They're bringing back woolly mammoths. They're like, the robots are taking, just because humans didn't like you because you're a dork, you need to replace them all with something you can control so you can make it like you losers. And so now there's like Postmates. There's people I know that were just like picking up extra cash on the pandemic with Postmates, and now it's replaced by some stupid little
robot. And they put the little eyeballs on it on the front so that you feel bad for it, so that you're not just like kicking it over. Right? Yeah, totally. And so you feel bad for these things, and that's exactly what's gonna fuck us.
That's the other thing. I don't think it's gonna be that the robots destroy us. I think we're gonna destroy each other, protecting our robots because we've developed like an emotional.
Oh my god!
Like Ex Machina.
I'm telling you, dude. But we will adapt. I mean, it is kind of the next stage of evolution. Like if you look at it that way, that sounds savage, but it also is. Like calculators, like this happened with calculators. There's ways, the car. Like I mean. Yeah. You know, I don't know who was telling me this, but a lot of colleges, they are okay with ChatGPT helping write papers because they're saying it's the next stage of human intelligence. What? But also China's doing it. If China does it, we have to do it. We can't be like, we're not going to do this because this is ethically wrong. It's like, if China's doing it, we have to do whatever they're doing.
I'm so dumb. I'm so scared of AI. Like, I'm just that guy. Like, I don't know anything. I just know I grew up watching Terminator and stuff. Like, I'm scared of AI. That's it. Whatever. Ninjas are cool. AI is scary. And I have a different take on AI when I'm talking to a friend who has dropped foot or has a medical issue that might be fixed via AI.
Both my parents had strokes.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
They were in bed for 10 years.
I actually get it.
They were in bed for 10 years. Both my parents had strokes. I mean, that'd probably be my argument against it. I'm like, guys, why are you helping them talk? So I feel like there's going to be so many people that have parents who like are nonverbal because of a stroke and like, please don't tell them about this. But like, I think that's I think that when we get negative about AI, we have to. And look, I'm a comedian. I'm always going to take a contrarian view, just always, whether I kind of believe it or not. I'll like go, oh, like I did a whole special about robots and like that they could be a good thing, you know, sex robots specifically. And everyone was so negative about the sex robots, but it's like, let's just hold on.
Let's see what they have to say about it.
Hold on. Like, you know, there are, I think, some benefits to it. I did a whole special about it, so I'm not going to repeat myself. But I do think that, like, you look at, like, it's mostly for medical stuff. You know what I mean? People that had strokes, people that can't see, now they can see, shit like that. You know, it's like.
Yeah, I just feel like at some point, like, I just go, okay, where do we go to the farthest degree? And essentially we're robots at some point, or part robot.
I think
human.
we already, are we not? We're not already?
Well, yeah, with the phone, right? But
we're
imagine when
gonna-
it's implanted,
totally.
imagine when something's wrong and you just have a robot replacement. And then at what point are we just robots? And then like nothing matters. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
I totally
Because you
get
get to a point where if we are that far along the way, it's everything's nihilistic. It just is, because we're robots, and what actually matters at that point.
it, right?
And
yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, I do think that like it helps me to just go like everything's Darwinism. Like everything's Darwinism. Like when I see people fighting online, just wasting their lives, just adrenalizing themselves endlessly, you know, losing their jobs because people are like, are you just tweeting all day? Whatever. It's like, I guess this is just Darwinism, you know? It's like the giraffes that didn't have long necks died, you know? So it's like, okay, like we'll just see the people that adapt to AI, either they're going to live longer, the people that go, you know what, I'm going to go live in the country and like, you know, have my own chickens and which I want to do.
Yeah.
Like we'll see. Or they'll just be two worlds, you know? I think there are going to be people that say like, no thanks, we're going to go do this. Like, and there's going to be people that go like, we do this, you know? It's going to be, remember that movie, The Village, with the M. Night Shyamalan movie with Bryce Dallas Howard, and you think it takes place in like the 1600s. It's like Amish community, and there are these like monsters in the woods, and she gets past the monsters, and it's present day. You know, it's like we go like, oh, Amish people are still using like horses and carriages and making their own milk. Maybe we'll just be Amish in 10 years.
I see what you're saying.
Like we're gonna be comparatively. If you have a laptop, you're like an Amish person.
The older you get, the more like that appeals to you.
Totally.
You're like live out there
That's
and just
so
kind
true.
of like just
so
true.
into it.
spend a
telling
year
you.
making a chair. Kind of into it.
That's it. And then I think that also like a lot of these skills are going to be even more valued. I think it's going to turn into that, you know, like being able to just like have an interesting conversation, not being a robot, you know, doing stand-up comedy, skateboarding, all these things. Like once everybody can do it with machines, I think being able to do it without machines is going to be, it's like the way I look at like people that make like stained glass. You're like, what? They have these like incredible skills. Like I think that the kind of stuff we do will oddly become like more valued in a way.
Right.
But you don't think it'll just like for example, like a robot can just do stand-up comedy and just erase comics?
I mean, I did a special a couple years ago. It's called Can I Touch It? And I made a robot of myself. Do you want to, hey, Tex, pull it up. Whitney Cummings just do like robot. And I had a robot built at this place called RAWTALK. They make sex robots. And what I wanted to do is really talk about like what it means for humans that we're so into robots, you know? Just go to images maybe. And I got kind of fascinated.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. I got kind of fascinated by this. I brought her on Rogan. Like she was on the Rich Eisen show. She was on Jimmy Kimmel.
Wait, when Rogan was here, right?
When Rogan was here.
Okay, I was like, you didn't fly with
No.
that thing.
No. I flew her to New York. That was wild. I had to put her head in a box and ship her in a coffin. And I got obsessed with the idea of like, I would love to be replaced. Like I would love to have a robot that can just go on tour as me. And I just sort of was like, let me just go all the way down with this because I don't want to undercook this, you know, premise. I'm doing all these jokes about what it means. Oh, there's Lex Friedman. She was on the Lex Friedman podcast, the one where she's bald, the second row down
shirt.
to the far right. Yeah. And I was like, let me just dig into this. And I got it made just so I could go through the whole process and understand who was ordering them. I was like in the chat rooms. I got my face molded, my teeth. They made my eyes, the whole thing. And then I was like, oh, this is probably going to be such a shitty robot because they're all so ratchet and like the technology's like not there yet. It's going to be some like hot scarecrow. And I was like, I'll just use it for press. I'll use it for promo. And then they made it and it was like wild. Like she talks, she's, you know, machine learns, she can talk to you. Soon her eyes can be cameras, so she'll recognize you. She'll be able to go like, oh, Bradley, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a week. We're going to order dinner. Do you want Chinese again? And she can order food. Like her head's basically the internet. You know, it's ChatGPT or whatever. And I got kind of fascinated.
Insane,
and so she ended up being in the show and she did do kind of jokes at the end, like stand up. It was awful, but like, you know, that was, you know, a couple years ago. And it was funny because it was like bad and weird. I think people are always going to want to go see things that are bad and weird and have like some verisimilitude. Like there's something creepy about it. It's called the Uncanny Valley. Like I am obsessed with the hologram Whitney Houston show in Las Vegas. I would rather go see the hologram than Whitney Houston. Like I love celebrity impersonators. When I see a celebrity impersonator, I'm oddly starstruck, but I see the celebrity and I'm like, whatever. Like there is something, you know, about, it's Jean Baudrillard, his philosopher, about the simulacra. You know, it's like the Paris, Las Vegas, things that are simulated of the real thing.
You're into that.
Have oddly become just fascinating. Guys, I think women have a different relationship with robots. Guys have something called pathogen avoidance, which is whenever a guy would see my robot, they'd be like they would like creep them out. And I'm like, what? It's just a robot, like we have dolls, we have baby dolls, girls have Barbies and all that. But guys have something called pathogen avoidance, which is, the survival instinct to, you guys evolved basically to be revolted by anything that looks sick or dead so that you don't it.
Or eat it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But when guys see like a hot robot and they're like, it's like that's how you evolved, honestly, because anyone that did have sex with that, something that, 2,000 years ago looked like kind of sick or dead, had some kind of disease,
Yeah.
and or was necrophilia, whatever it was. So it's like interesting. I don't get scared of it. I don't think it's weird. I think it's oddly like fascinating, And I think that the only problem, I don't know enough about it, but the problem right now with robots, and I again say this with love in my heart, not playing the gender card here because gender's not real.
Okay. Oh my God.
I kind of hot take. I think I made a movie called The Female Brain. So you see where I'll shut up. So where did I go? I just got so worried about getting canceled. I feel like your fan base is going to be with me on this.
No, they're fully with you on this.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
They are making a male robot for women called Henry. His name's Henry. Just realized.
Wow.
But anyway, so I built this robot. I got kind of fascinated. Will they come replace us? I think that anything, and I truly mean this, and maybe this is just my 12-step training of like step 3 is everything's happening exactly as it should. I think every improvement that happens in society just makes us have to get better at the thing we're doing. And sometimes negative things. So people like cancel culture. Isn't that suck for comedians who can't say anything anymore? It's like, no, I like the challenge. I have to be smarter. I'm not going to be lazy anymore.
It's also really stupid for comedians.
It's also not real. Yeah, it just makes us bigger.
But it's the worst thing to even try to put in that space.
The biggest comedians were canceled. Shane Gillis and Tony Hinchcliffe. It's like, will someone cancel me so I can do arenas?
But that's the whole, one of the biggest parts of comedy is to go at the things that are like, don't talk about that.
That's what we do.
That's the whole point of it.
We don't need you guys to all love us. We need 1 million people to make 20 million a year.
Fair.
Most of the people that hate us are just like our best publicists.
They've been.
So it's like when people try to cancel us, I'm like, you're helping the people you think you're getting rid of. It's like, how do you not see that? Also, if you think I don't know, the causality thing. I know there was like something about Fast and Furious. Whenever those movies come out, there's like more car accidents or something. But like comedians, like
I didn't know that, but that's funny.
That is funny. I didn't know that either. It makes sense though.
Yeah, no motorcycles when the new Fast and the Furious come out.
Yeah.
So it's like if someone is going to change their behavior or do something evil because of something a comedian said, they're already so dumb that they're gonna do something terrible. It's not it's not a direct causation. People enter into watching comedians knowing that they are silly gooses who are just trying to make people laugh. And anyone who's like, oh yeah, something Tony Hinchcliffe is gonna make me go commit a hate crime. It's like that person was gonna do it anyway.
100%.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's not Tony's fault.
People just like to blame everyone for their own problems.
Yeah, if anything, all the people that were gonna act out are coming to a comedy show getting the catharsis, and they're gonna now behave themselves because they got that taboo
itch
scratch. That's what the roasts do. It's like, let's all get in a room and say the craziest thing and be bad. So then we don't have to go do that in our personal life. Yeah. It's like, but yeah, do I think robots are going to replace comedians? I mean, maybe the bad ones.
Yeah. I don't, it just seems like it's too human. Like comedy's too human.
Yeah. I don't, I think
it'd be so the relatability, the nuances of life. It's like, how does a robot even you'd have to spend, I don't know how many years to really understand it.
And also robots, like they can't and I made that movie called The Female Brain. Huberman asked him about the specifics, but men just don't read faces the same way women can. We can read all these micro expressions. It's like, because we had to evolve to keep ourselves really safe and be able to read every little thing. I had to walk in here and go, is that a Christmas tree wreath? Am I safe? Whatever. Whereas you guys are like,
is he a psychopath?
Yeah, exactly. Can I have to fight any of these motherfuckers? Like, you guys don't need to be able to, so.
Yeah, the first thing she said to me was basically like, you might beat me in a street fight.
Well, no, I was like, are you having me
Yeah.
on this pod because I'm the only person you can beat in a street fight? It was a joke that totally bombed with you.
Yeah, it's okay.
But Rogan
I heard
brought
it
you up
before.
once about this. Like Rogan's talked about this, that you
Yeah.
kind of just like trash talk MMA fighters. It's
Well,
a
not-
ballsy move.
Not even. I never even did. Like Rogan's talked about me a few different times,
Yeah.
a few different situations. That specifically one, he was talking, I think it was about Mighty Mouse and like wrestling or doing jujitsu against him or something. But yeah, I just like, originally it started with Nate Diaz. I was interviewing Nate Diaz and like, I just randomly asked him the question.
I watched it and it was
We watched
amazing.
Yeah, because
It
I
was
just
so
wanted to,
funny.
because like I had asked Devin Haney before, who's a
Yeah.
boxer, and that one I was like, oh, I asked it, it went really viral. I was like, let me try again with Nate Diaz, and then it went even more viral. And like I knew, it's like I'm not thinking I'm gonna beat Nate Diaz in a street fight. I just want to see his reaction.
I love what
Yeah,
you're doing.
and it
I
was
love
funny. It was really good.
Wasn't he like, yo, you're a podcaster?
yeah.
He goes,
Yeah, you're a podcaster.
you're a podcaster, brother.
Yeah,
Just
I love that because
So good.
I think most people go like, I could do that.
oh,
Like,
for sure.
like you know that my obsession, like we were watching the Olympics. I think that every Olympics, I'll watch like the runners, or I'll watch something. And I'll be like, no, and I'll be like, okay, I could do that because there's no
13th
comparison.
13th lane.
We want a 13th lane that's just a regular person, so that you have something to compare.
You're getting smoked.
But I just need to see
Right.
that to know. I can't
my
tell
God.
that they're
like a pretty athletic dude,
someone
but
that's
not a
like-
professional.
Someone that's like, if I tried harder, I could do this, so that you have like a context reference, because everyone's running so fast that they all just look like they're running fine.
You could just go to a track and try it and time it. You're gonna be like, oh, I'm slow.
Yeah,
Oh,
but I
you're
just want to
so
have a
slow.
comparison.
Worried
you know what I
about
mean?
myself.
So it's like, I would like to see a match between a regular person and Nate Diaz before the real fight, to go like, oh, like 'cause when two people are
Yeah.
so good, like you
Yeah.
don't really know how good they are until you put a mediocre civilian in the
And
mix.
for me, the funny part is like the fact that I'm like a bigger guy. There's always that maybe just because he has the size or he has like the muscle, like the visible difference.
totally.
There's
And they
an
go, oh,
extra
maybe it could. And then
part,
even though most people know, okay, no, but there's still that whole group of people who are like, who knows?
I also think there's something fascinating and primal about, and I brought it up earlier when I asked him, like, hey, what are you thinking about? And he was like, if I could fight that guy. I do think that men, cool ones, whatever, useful ones, kind of any time, they say anytime you walk in a room, you're ascertaining where you are in the pecking order. Part of the reason that Instagram and everything is so toxic for us, because we follow usually high status people and we constantly assess where we are in the pecking order, and we're constantly the lowest.
Yeah.
When you go on Instagram, because it's always, you're following Rogan and, Jocko Will or whatever.
Right.
And so I think there's something fascinating about just like, can I fight this guy? Can I fight this guy? And even like for you to just say that, because I think, Shab, like when Shab is out in public, people are like, yo, I used to fight. It's like, he's like, people just want to fight me. And they're like figuring out how they would do it, what the things are. I mean, him, like, he's, the best street skater, I don't know, ever. That's what other people say, that know skating. I might be a little biased, but I literally had a skateboard and I was like, this is not hard. I mean, I do it too, where you're kind of like,
It's so
I
hard.
could do that.
I think what's
Oh my God.
interesting about the fighting thing, and it's really funny and brilliant that you did that, is because there are so many people who truly do kind of believe, like, I've been in a couple street fights, like I can hold my own, like, and you'll see them, like, you'll see a dude that has like so many street knockouts get in the ring with an actual boxer and just get manhandled, and it's wild, but like, because like as a dude been in a couple fights, like there's a little bit of a primal, like you already kind of know how to do something, whereas it's like throwing a javelin, like I don't know if I could throw a javelin, or pole vaulting, like well, I've never done that, but like in fighting you see them and you kind of have that instinct and you're like, I could,
I like that you guys are still assessing each other. I just love that in a day where we have houses and cars and guns and bows, that you're still like, okay, how the fuck?
oh, and I hate fighting.
It's just like,
that's the other thing. I like hate it.
I know, but it's like, it's so wild to me.
It's the most primal thing.
I love it. I was
Totally.
texting.
But I feel
It's
like
like
the
how
bad
we
guy.
do. Like you see another girl and you're kind of like, okay, got it. Like it's just, we're constantly taking inventory of like, is her ass bigger than mine? Is her tits, are her lips bigger? Like it's totally subconscious. Like it's totally not even, and I think it's probably on some level, like, is she more fertile than me? Is she competition? You know?
Yeah.
Like it's not like catty petty consciously. It's just like, okay, noted, got it. Like And I just fascinated by those sort of subconscious thoughts and motivations. But Rogan, I was texting with him about, I don't know what, but it was something about, you know, it was the school shooters that we want to demonetize this, right? We don't want to.
I don't care. Yeah. Go
whatever.
ahead.
School shooter, something about like some school shooters were transgender, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And the media wasn't covering it as much because it would look transphobic or something.
Right.
And I was just thinking about it and I was like, okay, so like, I don't know, 130 years ago, you two, if you were from different places, would fight in a field with swords. I mean,
insane.
We're fighting each other, killing each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now we're too afraid to hurt a murderer's feelings. Like, isn't it wild to think, like, 'cause, I mean, children worked in factories. Like, we are deeply savage. Like, children working in factories was very recent, you know? And there's still whatever, trafficking and all that kind of shit. Like, the fact that we're this civilized, you're always like, this is so wild. Like, I'm trying to write a bit about this. We talk about how, like, divided we are as a nation. It's like, I feel like
this would be good.
We get along pretty well.
Yeah.
But it feels fragile and it feels like tissue paper. Like in the front.
Kind of like when you see someone like freak out in traffic at someone else, you're like, that guy, that's right.
That guy gets
That's
it.
true. Like, we're all behaved so well. You know, when you see a fight on a plane, you're like, how does that not happen every flight?
You know what? Actually, this was something I was gonna ask you.
Yeah.
Have you ever met somebody or seen somebody at the gym or something like that that's like straight up like scary, where you're like, dude, that's a fucking scary person. Like,
Yeah. Normally it's probably
because you're
like
huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's definitely dudes like when the strong men show up, like who I've
Can I
had.
tell you something about that though,
Yeah.
really quick?
Yeah.
Those are never the men that worry me. Meet and greets, I have all the security. If someone like you walked up, they'd be like, you okay? Men that are strong, they don't have anything to prove, in my experience. So they're actually the gentlest giants and the ones you don't have to worry about. It's those scrawny, short guys that have something to prove. You have to worry about.
Yeah, but I think it's more of like we're assessing that thing of like if this person decided he wanted to yeah, this person wants to take my girlfriend, or this person wants to fight me. He's faster. I can't run away. He's bigger. Like, he's stronger. And you're kind of like, I don't know. I have to like outsmart him. I got to like be clever. Like, I don't know.
That was interesting. And what you did with that, I listened to, I think it was you and Shab talking about, you're like, no, I just want to like lay on him. I just want to, because I love this too. Because my theory about how I could beat an MMA fighter is like, I would just with them psychologically. You know what I mean? Like, there's this amazing, like how, I mean, I know Mike Tyson did this a lot, but there's this amazing scene in a horrendous movie. Not horrendous, it's just horrific. Like, I don't know why people would want to watch this, but I did, called The Changeling with Angelina Jolie, where her son gets kidnapped and captured by some horrible pedophile in the 20s or something. And this genius actor, Jason Butler Harner, he was in Ozark. He's on something now. He's such an incredible actor. And he was the pedophile guy, and he was in a room with Angelina Jolie. The guy's taken her son, raped him, killed him, whatever. And she gets in his face and like screaming at him, and she goes in to fight him and hit him, and he goes in to kiss her, and it like throws her. Like, he just improvised it in the scene or whatever. But like, that's the kind of, like, if I'm in the ring with someone, I'm just gonna like
pull your tits out or something?
or go to get like something else to throw them. But I love that you were like, no, I would just sit on him. And Shab was like, he just won't be there for you to sit on.
Yeah.
That, like, you know what I'm saying? He'll get your ankles or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's something that is, these conversations you've had have helped me really understand how different, you know, those guys are, and to really like appreciate it. Do you think?
Oh, they're so different.
Do you think that MMA is our Roman Coliseum?
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's like the closest thing you can get to that without like killing. I mean, obviously, and some people die in that sport. You know, people can die. Just like in boxing, you could die as well.
Isn't it kind of like it's like watching NASCAR? Like, you are kind of waiting for a crash.
Most people, I think, are.
Like, that's the.
But like, it's like you don't want anyone to die. You're just like, what's going to happen?
You want to see a yard sale, and then the person get out and like they fire extinguisher of the car and they're just like, well, I'm good.
Yeah,
you know?
but like it just makes you realize how like deeply primordial and savage we are. Just like watching NASCAR.
We're not that far.
Because I remember like being with a bunch of people and they're watching NASCAR and I'm like, are you guys just like watching traffic? And and then we started talking about it and they're like, oh yeah, I guess we're waiting for something to go wrong. It's like in hockey, I'm waiting for a fight. I'm like, that is so dark.
Yeah.
And hot.
It is. Yeah. I mean, and then it is weird how you put it next to the fact that we just can't say certain things. And it's like, oh, we're tiptoeing around. Like the positioning is so weird for humans now.
Mm-hmm.
And the internet.
Weird.
And it's how like.
Well, that's the dorks. I mean.
Yeah. Well.
Jocks and nerds still, it's very bifurcated, I feel like. And now the jocks have podcasts and the nerds are on Twitter being like, you're problematic.
Yeah. I wonder if it like ever finds more synergy or if it's just always going to have this weird, just different platforms to be like, you're bad, I'm good. Like,
I feel like we've always had this though. Like, and again, maybe this is the comedian point of view. Like we've always had it, like there's always good versus evil. And in every movie, how does evil masquerade? As good. Right?
Yeah.
So to me, the people that are the most ostensibly good and wholesome and, activists and stuff, I'm like, if I was a bad person, that's how I would behave.
Yeah.
If I was a bad person, the first thing I would do is start a charity so that no one would think I was a bad person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like anybody that's like, I'm better than you. Here's my black square. I'm going to stop Asian hate.
Yeah.
How come you're not posting about this? I'm like, what's in your closet, dude?
Yeah, what the f- are you doing?
Skeletons are in your closet that you feel the need to.
But do you think people are starting to miss that that's probably a reality? Because like you say that and I agree with that. And I think like a lot of people out there think, no, they got to be good. Like they miss it.
Some of them are like, I mean, but I think it's kind of about this God-shaped hole at this point where less and less people have a religion. And I'm not saying, like less and less people have God in their life. Not saying what religion anyone should have or any of that, but when religion goes away, I think that need for order, that need for knowing some people are good and will behave.
Yeah.
Because it used to be religion was like, love your neighbor, don't steal your neighbor's wife, the golden rule. Like there were all these kind of, whether people were following them or not, there was kind of a code of conduct.
Yeah.
And now people are like, don't fuck with God. And now all of a sudden it's like, how do we make sure there's some kind of code of conduct so there's not complete chaos? I guess we all just need to bully people and, like try to institute some kind of like righteous way of living. So maybe that's how they feel safe or that's how they have like purpose. Because there's a God-sized hole that I think is really like making people like lack purpose. And
you think there's less people going towards religion now than?
I feel like there was something where I saw that it was going the other direction. Maybe like Tucker or something was talking about that. I don't know the answer to that. The same with the population thing. I don't know the answer, but I see it. I think that what I observe is more people with these replacement religions that they think is like better, superior, less, if they think religion is ignorant, now their thing is like, I worship crystals. And I'm like, so you thought Jesus was dumb, but you're literally charging rocks in this, like, are you Soul Cycle? They're like spin class, like doing these spin classes.
Yeah, it's tribalism.
$65 with this, like, with a bunch of Hollywood publicists being like, I'm saved. Like Beyonce's my hero. It's like, that's same. You know what I mean?
Well, it's tribalism. It's going to yoga and then telling everybody about how you go to yoga. It's
and being the biggest asshole in the Whole Foods parking lot. It's always the people with yoga mats.
Yeah. Totally.
It's like, I'm better than you because I do yoga. Like, and CrossFit is probably one, is my guess. Like people.
Yeah, that was one. Yeah.
Yeah. For a while, the CrossFit thing was like
it's
pretty
like church.
wild.
Yeah, I do CrossFit. It's like, okay, bro.
Yeah, but it's like church. You go every morning. You see your people. A lot of it is like social. Like church. Like growing up, and also to be anti-religion, I think is actually very elitist. Because like I'd have to go to church growing up because you would need a place to drop your kids. That you know what I mean. Now looking back at Catholic church was the worst place to drop your kids. Not girls. I was fine. And so I think that like we're all looking for like meaning and purpose and like, or maybe, I think we treat different things like religion or try to, fill the God-sized hole, in a lot of, other kind of ways. I think we're making technology God a little bit right now. It's like
heavily.
Worshiping at the altar of Jeff Zucker.
So you think
Zuckerberg?
People have always been just like, I'm better than you. Because like what you're saying, you're not saying that specifically, but I mean, now the God size hole, and then people are creating these like little sort of, you know, the yoga or the little tribal type things that they're like, oh, this is what I do, this is what I believe in. And then now it seems maybe it's just a Twitter thing, but it's like there's this relationship to that and then to whatever someone else is doing, like, oh, I'm better. Even in relationship to going back to like the black square or the Asian hate, whatever, this like, oh, you're racist, you're this, you're that. And it's like, I'm great and I do this for these people. And there's this whole like, I'm better than you and you should do what I'm doing.
Yeah, right. You know, I think my answer to that might be circuitous, but I'll just start with what I understand to be true, which is like we evolved to meet like 50 people in our lifetime. You know what I mean? Like we're this whole thing where you're like have access to millions of people or like see, you know, thousands of people in a mall or something like that. It's like we're designed to live in these like smaller tribes, you know? Yeah. And so another tribe meant war. We're fighting for resources. I think it's a primordial thing of like, you know, you're an Eagles fan, you're a Cowboys fan, like we're fighting for resources. You know, I think that that's what it like ultimately goes down to, you know? There's this, you know, Calcio Storico in Italy. Calcio Storico, if you want to pull it up, Tex. Calcio Storico, images, let's go. It is football, but instead of tackling, it's bare knuckle boxing. And it happens once a year, and it's neighborhoods instead of teams.
How do you spell it?
Calcio.
You knew that exactly. A store.
Storico. There's no O. Calcio, Stor. There's no O in front of the S in the second word.
Right there.
But it'll come up anyway. Just go to images.
Images.
And these are not professional athletes. These are butchers and cobblers and shoemakers, etc.
It's like rugby?
It's rugby, but it's bare knuckle boxing.
Holy where the f did they do this?
Do you want to do video? Florence. I'm dying to go. I'll go if you want to go next year. Go to videos maybe if you want to just see a video of it. These guys are in their 50s. They're in their and it's neighborhoods. So it's uncles versus nephews.
This is that Wong video.
Oh no, go back. Not this video. The first one is not the best.
I've never heard of this.
Go to hold on.
Oh wait, there's a 4-minute one. That's probably good. Right down,
there we go. Most brutal game on earth.
Right
there. Up. Sorry, I liked the one before.
This has to be it.
Wow, you don't have YouTube Premium.
Neither do I.
Wow.
Neither do I. Fuck it.
By the way, neither do I.
And believe that rugby is not enough violence. The Calcio Storico is ideal. A bloody team sport played not just by real men.
Oh my god, bro.
With berserk fists.
Oh, this looks f***ing amazing.
Dude, people just get dragged off constantly with injuries.
In order to play Calcio, you don't need so much. A 50 by 100 meters sandy field in Piazza Santa Croce in Florence. 54 healthy men and a ball, like a basketball, stuffed with goat hair.
Oh my god.
Everything is more or less clear with the less to points.
And we complain about the most basic
to an ancient tradition.
They're signing up for this and they're not getting paid.
Florence, while tournaments have not been cancelled even during numerous wars. For teams participating
was invented to entertain kings, but they stopped doing it in the 1930s because too many people were dying. Do you want to just skip forward a little bit?
But
it just brought it back.
But even back then, though, it wasn't never with weapons. It was just with fists.
Bare knuckle boxing, but people would die all the time.
Then for assistant defenders, dottori. 3 dottori adhere to close the defense. The task is to throw as many balls as possible over the edge of the fence from the opponent's side. After each goal, the teams change
they're not just
sides.
bare knuckle, but they're like MMA bare knuckle.
Dude,
they're fully.
After
the only rule is no 2-on-1.
The only rule is no 2-on-1.
Or maybe it's no biting. We have to look that up. I might be wrong because I just saw a couple people tackle one guy.
After all, the most interesting feature of Calcio is its phenomenal cruelty. In this game, fights and wrestling are not prohibited. It is an integral part of the performance. Moreover, it is possible and necessary to beat not only
how have I just heard of this?
Players, which often turns the game into a bloody battle. There are no protective gear, gloves, or helmets. Their blood is shed and bones are broken.
This is your ancestry,
bro.
Dude.
This is
gave into the concerned city authorities.
You gotta go.
The doctors to be present on the field.
I want to go do this.
If someone is knocked out or a player is seriously injured, the match does not stop. The beaten one is simply quickly carried off the field. Substitutions in the game are not provided. Officially, direct punches and kicks to the opponent's head are not allowed.
That's what it is.
As well as 3-handed one. But in the heat of battle, there is such a mass on the field that after each goal scored,
Do you see the refs just squirting water at him?
Therefore, they look at
Wow.
such trifles through their fingers. There are other restrictions. Those who are over 40 and those who have serious convictions behind them are not taken into the game.
Can't be a
Otherwise,
serious
the rules
criminal.
are simple. You need to deliver the ball to the opposite end of the rectangular field in any way. All this mess on the
In
field
any
is
way.
monitored by simple and higher referees. The
Well, how did you find out about this?
And by the way, so that they are not
I was looking for a husband, and my Google searches led me to this. But this is fascinating because these guys sign up for it. There's also
Yeah.
a great training video I'll send you where you see them training, and their training gym has all X-rays of their broken bones from the year before. So
Wow.
sick. These guys, again, they're
Brutal.
they're not. It's I think 45 on 45, and the ones that get hurt just get taken out. And they don't get replaced, and they play over 3 days. So they play. The winner of this plays again tomorrow. It's
Bro.
3 days,
Dude.
and the winning team gets a cow. So it is just for the love of the game. It is just for the violence. It is just for and the month that this happened, violence in Florence goes down to 0.
Because they're all busy.
Yeah, or exactly. That's
Dude,
what I'm
we need to
saying.
bring this back. We need this
That's
every
what
city.
I'm saying.
We need this every city.
Yeah. So it's like we have MMA. It's kind of a catharsis for people, but just
Yeah.
we have like mud runs and Spartan races and stuff like that. I'm sure this is what CrossFit was. And
Yeah.
I think when we make fun of people like, oh, they do CrossFit, they lift, like, and maybe this will loop back to the ancestral trauma, like what you're built to do. Like these guys are like, we're built to fight wars, and we don't have wars anymore, so we need to just
Totally.
like get this out.
Yeah. Dude, we need to bring this back. We need this in every city.
That's what I'm saying.
This would be crazy.
Because I wanted to, and I
Yeah.
actually pitched this to somebody once, and it was like this investor that thought it was an amazing idea, but there were going to be too many lawsuits. I wanted to do Grinder for bar fights, where like where you could just be like, oh, there's a fight at the bar a mile away. Let's go. And
Notifications on.
you could just go and just like,
What the?
yeah, I do think that there's like a primordial need for this, but this is what you come from. Do you know
Yeah.
where in Italy you're from?
Sicily, Pisa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, fascinating. Okay, so I think Sebastian has Sicilian as well. There's a lot of like mafia shit in that too. But the epigenetic imprinting, to your point about the ancestral trauma, once I did this movie about neuroscience that I made. It was based on the book The Female Brain. And then I learned about epigenetic imprinting, which is like how, the fears and stresses of the generation before you in your ancestry imprints on your brain. So the simple way to say it is that, in all these studies, when a mouse was electrocuted while smelling a cherry blossom, that mouse's offspring, when they would smell cherry blossoms, they would recoil to the other side of the cage, right? So people that have irrational fears of cliffs, snakes, this, that, it probably just meant your ancestors fell off cliffs. It probably just meant your ancestors were killed.
That's insane.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
so afraid
Sick.
of heights.
See,
Oh, there you go.
So like my feet tingle.
that's wild.
Tingle hard.
I'm pretty afraid of heights. My ancestry is Appalachia, which makes a lot of sense. I don't like small spaces, but my ancestry is coal miners.
I hate
so
small
when you
spaces.
come from like the West Virginia, Appalachia area, the ancestral trauma is like really intense. Like elevators stress me out. Like being underground, I don't like going to underground parking garages and stuff like that. Like it makes no sense to me. But my grandfather worked in a coal mine, So whatever happened to your parents and your parents' parents, it goes on and on. Like it is imprinted in your DNA. It makes total sense. It's how your body keeps the next generation safe. I am a horse person. I was sent away to live with my aunts in a place called Roanoke, Virginia when I was younger because my parents, weren't able to take care of me. And I spent most of my time with horses. But the carriage horse thing, it's like the New York carriage horses makes me apoplectic, like irrationally furious, nauseous. Like I start shaking. I've never had panic attacks before. I do something that's, I think, very nerve-wracking to most people for a living as a comic. When I see those horse carriages, like I sob. Like I remember I was with somebody, I was going to the David Letterman show, like walking, and I even just heard the clop, clop, clop of the horses, and I had to go into a museum on the Upper East Side or whatever, and I was just sobbing. Couldn't stop sobbing. Bizarre,
Yeah.
And yes, I love horses. I'm an animal person. I'm empathic, blah, blah, blah. But like this is way more than that.
It's too much.
And because it's sort of about how we carry the guilt and the shame of our past as well,
Yeah.
And so I went to this person, I just was like, oh, I guess I'm just crazy. I see horses being harmed and I'm just like this oversensitive, emotional, maniac. because I love horses so much. It is abuse, whatever, racetracks, like all that like really stresses me out. And I go to this person that does something called family constellation. I believe it is pseudoscience. You know, I do, but when someone's like right about something, I'm like, it kind of doesn't really matter why you're right, but it led me to this realization. So family constellation is sort of about looking at the guilt and the shame that you carry from your ancestors' past mistakes or things that they've done.
Yeah.
And you inherit their, whatever you want to call it, sins, fears, guilt, shame, whatever. And I do this family constellation thing. I'm just kind of like at a little bit of a rock bottom with like, I'm doing 12-step programs. I had this woman come into my house, get all the chemicals out of my house. Like it was like migraines, all that kind of stuff. I was trying to, figure it all out.
Yeah.
Someone like gifted me this session and, she said, you carry the guilt of your great, great, great grandfather. Like there's unfinished business here. And I'm like, so what did he do? She basically asked. And I was like, I don't know. Like he was probably a drunk. Like that runs in my family. He was like a drunk coal miner. Like that tracks. Like, and he did something unforgivable. And I'm like, yeah, he probably cheated on his wife, probably hit his wife. I don't know. Like that makes sense. And then she was like, well, look into it. And I call my uncle and I've done no like exploring of my past ancestry stuff. I was just like, I don't know with those people. I'm nothing like them. And then you move through life and you're like, I'm like them. There's stuff in here. You can't really, apple doesn't fall that far. And so I call my uncle and I'm like, what's up with my great grandfather? Like, what was he up to? And she's like, oh, he's drunk, died of cirrhosis. And I'm like, okay, I was right, And I was like, what, who was he? Who was this guy? And he was like, well, he actually patented the, what would it be? Patented the device that holds horse carriages together. But he was such a drunk and so bad at business that he was never able to get the patent and like start a business. But he made it so horse carriages could actually function because they used to break apart. So he built this thing to make it so that horse carriages, like whatever the lock and hoop sort of thing is.
Yeah.
And the hitch, maybe something like that. And it was like so wild that he was like, wait, so he's who like made horse carriages like a viable thing. And I knew nothing about it. And when I see horse carriages, I'm like, lose my mind. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe everyone thinks they patented that. Maybe everyone was in the horse carriage business.
It's very specific.
Who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when people look back and they're like, my uncle did this thing. You're like, everyone probably did that back then and thought that back then. Everyone probably thought they invented that. And I'm sure a couple people in every state did and were too drunk to follow through with it, whatever. So, but it was just this thing that like, it's the thing that gets me, So that's when I started kind of looking into epigenetic imprinting. Well, I did before with the migraine thing. And then just sort of like, being a stand-up, so much of it is like, the Jewish ancestral trauma and their coping and knowing Jewish people that have this like, scarcity complex with the Holocaust that they inherited, whether it's nature or nurture. I'm just really obsessed with the nature part of it. They say like, that, like genetics loads the gun, environment pulls the trigger. Like I'm just obsessed with like, what was already programmed in me before I even, came out of the womb, because I do often feel these like wild forces like pulling me certain.
Well, in the idea to like to understand it or to fix it or just to know it?
I think just just my brain, like comic brain, just to like make sense of it, maybe. And I think that the more you are able to figure out your motives or, what you got honestly, what is your fault? I just want to know what's my fault so I can fix it. And then what's not my fault, I think it's just that. And I also think that, I think that like self-examination, if it's not coming from a narcissistic place, being self-aware is kind of what I do for a living, so the last thing I ever want to be is like have blind spots, when you see people that aren't self-aware, like that's my nightmare. It probably roots in the fact that my number one fear is embarrassment. And
that's crazy to be a stand-up comic. And that's insane.
Well, they say you become a comedian, control how you're embarrassed. Like I'll embarrass myself before you're able to do it. I grew up with the last name Cummings. Like I got a lot of it. But like, when you see someone who's not self-aware, like it's like, that's my nightmare.
I get it.
Is to like not understand myself on any level and just be this like unconscious, bloviating idiot.
But to like what degree? It's like how much can you figure out and find out and understand?
I know. Yeah, but I think it's just sort of like, it's your responsibility to like know yourself enough before you drag someone else into it,
For sure.
Because like I do think I spent a lot of time, and I think everyone does this in their 20s, punishing other people for things people in my past did, you know, of like, you're abandoning me. Like adults can't be abandoned. You know, that's not a thing. You just feel abandoned. And, you know, in my program, they say if it's hysterical, it's historical. I just want to know what's historical so that I'm not being hysterical on someone that doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
You know,
makes a lot of sense.
I think fairness is a big part of my value system. And I never want to do something that's unfair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. How old are you?
Excuse me?
Yeah, disrespectfully.
Are you
that?
out of your mind?
I'm going to Google it. Can we pull that up?
What the
I love it. I love your reaction, dude.
In what world?
Yeah, you're actually mad, huh?
I mean, it's
1 to 10.
on the internet. Everybody knows.
1 to
but
10.
I just turned 42.
Okay. You
What?
seem to have it figured out. Or figuring it out, or at least caring enough to look at all the things to figure out.
I also think that, like, you know, I always knew I wanted a kid or kids. And I did not want to be like, I think all of our parents had no tools, you know, they were all just doing what they saw or like the best they did with the very limited tools. We're the first generation that's even like considering therapy or any of that. I think we're kind of overdoing it with the medications and doing this other, you know, kind of sick thing. But if you need to be medicated, I get it. I'm on Prozac, but like, you know, I don't mean like pharma, but I think that it's my responsibility to not pass this on to my kid, you know, as well, because I feel like I inherited so much of it and I spent so much of my time untangling the bullshit blueprint that I got from a bunch of sick alcoholics that I want to make sure and also the job that I do for a living, like you can stay immature forever and the audience will reward you for it, you know? But like the people that I looked up to, that, you know, George Carlin and these people, they were smart and they understood themselves and they weren't, you know, if you're unrealized, you're just going to like be a narcissist. I don't know. I just like to kind of like.
You're going to be for sure.
Yeah.
You're unaware of how you are
you're going to like
situations.
move through your life like an unconscious zombie being like marionette doll operated by these past forces and shit.
Then so you have a kid, right? And then the kid is also a part of someone else's whole entire lineage as well, which is like, how do you unpack that?
My biggest fear is like my kid inheriting like alcoholic genes, you know? So it's like I had to get my self-control. I also couldn't be alone with myself. I always had to move. I always had to be doing something. I always had to be solving someone else's problem. I was like addicted to busyness and taking an action, you know? And I was like,
that's like me.
Why can't I sit alone with myself? You know, I can do it for public consumption. I can do it if it's being monetized with you, but it's like, why am I so afraid of my inner monologue? Like what's going on in there? You know? So I had to learn to be friends with myself. And you can't be friends with someone that you don't like. And you can't be friends with someone who's like an unconscious mess. And if I had any of the qualities of the parents that I didn't admire, I mean, I didn't like myself, you know? And so it's like, you know, all these like Instagram wellness, you know, cult that's just like, love yourself. It's like, how? No one says how, you know? But then you learn like in order to build self-esteem, you have to engage in esteemable actions, you know? So it's like being humble, like building yourself up, you know, being of service to people, like not being codependent, people pleasing, you know, not mothering, martyring, micromanaging. Like I really wanted to build my self-esteem, you know, because insecure people are dangerous.
Did that start more later in your life or earlier?
It started like around 26, 27. Both my parents had strokes and I had to take care of them. And it really all came like crashing down in terms of my like workaholism. My workaholism was working really well for me, you know?
Yeah.
It's like when you see someone with their Adderall addiction or their cocaine addiction, you're like, it's working. Like, you know, you're gonna hit a rock bottom at some point, but it works until it doesn't. So like, you know, I had wild like eating disorders and, you know, I felt very out of body. I just felt like I wasn't in my own body. I felt like I wasn't living my life. I feel like I was missing out on life.
Yeah.
Because I'd wake up in the morning and I was like, gym, you know, like
That's exactly like
it was just like
exactly
I
feel
like I was being like pulled around. If those are the choices I actively make, like I'm gonna wake up, I want to go to the gym because I want to get healthier and like, but that's great. But it was like, I had to, not I wanted to, you know, and that's the definition of addiction, right? It becomes an obligation. It stops being fun, you know? It's like doing something despite negative consequences. You know, I was isolating. I was, you know, so I watched my mom live that way and I wanted to like live my life instead of like survive my life. You know?
I feel like most people never get to that point where they even consider any of this. I feel like a lot of people just live their life just completely like as it just happens, and that's what it is, and that's what my life is, and I'm a product of all my circumstances.
Yeah, and I just didn't want to look
Right.
back later in life and be like, I don't remember any. I just like.
Why do you
know.
think you had that thought to like look at it instead of just go like, oh, this is just my life?
It might have just been because I had so much neglect and I had to spend so much time alone with myself that I kind of had to examine, myself. Maybe I also saw so many. I really studied entertainers. Like I am such a tryhard. Like I studied. We were watching what?
This is funny to say. I'm such a tryhard.
I am. I'm a pick me tryhard. Okay.
I love it.
And if you're not successful, it comes off lame. But if you are, it's like, oh, you're self-aware. Like, so all the
Right.
pick me tryhards, like stay there and you'll make it. I don't think you're going to make it as not a pick me tryhard. I think that like, you can't be desperate because that's repellent to people, but like I wanted to win. Like I wanted to be great at something. Like I come from sports. I'm a professional athlete. No big deal.
You could do with the Olympics easy.
Way better than
Easy.
me at basketball.
And
I'll
by
tell
the
you that.
way, I could be that 13th lane.
Yeah, exactly.
But my dad prized excellence. It's the only way I got his attention. Like achievements were really big to him. To get attention, I did have to achieve a lot. Fine. But I also knew like I have to get myself out of the situation. Like I have to become financially independent. And the only way to do that is to be the best at something you do. And I had a very like, what is the point of being kind of good at something? Like, what's the point? Like, I don't know. Maybe it was just my OCD or, I think that, I went to the great David Agus, brilliant oncologist. He was like Steve Jobs' doctor. That's the worst credit to give him. But he's like, just this amazing doctor, USC Keck School of Medicine. And I went there because I think we're all so into over-pathologizing ourselves at this point, maybe because of our overachievement stuff. But, I went and I was like, look, I've been diagnosed with OCD and ADD and I have this and I have this and I can't pay attention to this and I get bored really easily and we need to, should I be on something? And he's like, so you have OCD and you have ADD? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, are any of these things working for you? And I was like, didn't even occur to me that some of these things are like superpowers, So I just say that as I say all this. I think, the way that my mind works or whatever, I was just very much like, I didn't know how to do something at 80%. I didn't know how to do something at 90%. It was like, I have to, I didn't like myself if I wasn't really good at it, And if I wasn't good at something, I wanted to understand why, but I studied grades. Like I was obsessed with Dennis Rodman, obsessed with Dennis Rodman because I loved that he kind of had the most thankless position in a lot of ways. And it wasn't the most glamorous and it wasn't the one where you get the most attention, but he figured out a way to somehow be the most entertaining. I remember watching him because I was obsessed with basketball and I was watching him and I was like, why am I only looking at this guy? I'm not looking at Michael Jordan. I'm not looking at Scottie Pippen. Why am I looking at this guy? He had blue hair and cheetah print hair and he was wearing rings and he was so flamboyant. He had the lip ring and the whole thing. And I was like, this guy knows the assignment. He knows to be entertaining at all times. You guys will probably think this is ironic because I'm probably being boring right now. But I was like, it is your job to be entertaining, not cool, not like cool guy. He was just like, I'm here to entertain you at all costs. And like, there's something really vulnerable about that to just be able to be like, I want your attention,
Yeah.
And I just thought that was cool. And I didn't think it was cool when people were like, oh no, I don't really care. Once I was like, you don't care? Cool. Then no one else is going to care. And if me caring too much repels people, they're not my people.
Yeah.
So I think that, I studied it and then I would watch and I go like, well, how did he go wrong? And I'm like, okay, there's something about like mental discipline. Like you have to know yourself. You have to understand yourself. Like, you can't, he would get in all this trouble. And you would watch people that would, Robert Downey Jr., he was the guy and then his alcoholism ruined his career. And then he came back and now he's Iron Man.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what did he do? Oh, he went into a 12-step program. He got sober. Okay, I wanted to know what the pitfalls were because I was going to make it. Like there was I know this is psycho, babe, you should not hear this, but like I I was making vision boards. I will tell people this because I'm not going to be the person that's like, yeah, I just kind of stumbled into it and someone at a grocery store thought I was funny and luck was not my thing. I didn't know anybody in the business. Like I came in and I had vision boards and I was listening to The Secret and I was manifesting and I was like, I'm going to do this. And I was studying people. I was going to, I was all day on IMDb. Who represents her? Okay, she did this. She went to this acting school. She did this. Okay, I was a student of high performers
Yeah,
and who made it.
success,
And then you look at what made people great, and then you look at what got people, like there's, plenty of people who, Richard Pryor, what happened? Drugs,
Yeah.
right? This person had a stroke. This person had a drug overdose. Joaquin Phoenix, or not River Phoenix. Sorry.
Yeah.
I remember he died, and I was like, wait, what? How do you just die in the middle of becoming?
How do you just die?
What? You were just about to make it. Like, I didn't understand it. And then it was like, wait, so when you get successful, you feel empty inside and start using drugs? I got to get ahead of that because I'm planning on getting that big. It's like, it probably is like so, I do think that something that is required for what all of us do is a level of delusional confidence.
100%.
And if you're not willing to be delusionally confident, and I think I realized I was always, with being very competitive in the sport that I was in, I remember like thinking in my head, like, go for the 3-pointer shot, because even if my percentage is lower there's going to be less people guarding me. You know what I mean? Or expecting that I'm going to do it. So then the odds are going to even out maybe of something that could be an easier shot, but more people are going to know I'm going to take it. And then I started thinking, like, why not just strive for the highest, most insane goal? Because there's going to be so much less competition up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you kind of like want to be just like, good at something, everyone's going to be there. But if you're like, I want to like be a female comedian, like one that like tours and does theaters, like there's not a lot of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, I feel like my odds are better, but maybe it was a way to go like, and if I don't make it, at least I can say like, no one does. Maybe it was a way of protecting myself. But I do think that like this delicate balance of like insecurity and delusional confidence is sort of the balance you want to find. But I knew that a lack of self-awareness gets people.
Some up, like throws them off. Yeah.
And like to be a great comedian, like you have to have a pretty healthy relationship with the truth and about yourself. So I was like, I got to figure out like what's going to take me down. And I know I have this alcoholism thing. I know that like if I never did I didn't do cocaine. I've never done cocaine because I was always like, if I do it, I'll probably really like it. And if I'm better as a comic on cocaine, I won't stop. I know myself, Yeah. Because like I want to be great. So I was like, no, I can't do that.
Well, that makes me think of a question that I wanted to ask him. That there's something that we've gone through in my sport and in your line of work. There are short-term goals. There are these little things that you can pick up every single time you do a set, where you have like a goal and you can meet it, and then you can feel good about it.
Yeah.
And it's more about short, these little tiny goals all the time. And then, there are these big highlights, like a special or a video part. Do you find the same thing in the gym? And when you started going to the gym, did you have like short-term, like little wins throughout, or were you just building for one
Do you go, I
thing?
want to be able to deadlift, I don't even know what a big amount is, 400 pounds? Or do you go, this week I'm going to do 200, this week I'm going to do 250.
And find like fun in that.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, it was just like try to get better week by week. Obviously, like it doesn't happen. Like you don't just go in and go from, I'm going to do 300 to 500 or whatever it is.
Totally.
But it was like every day you try to just do a little bit more.
Yeah.
Every day.
And
like,
you'd leave like stoked, like I did.
Yeah. Like if I did just like, let's say something as stupid as like 4 sets on the bench press with a certain weight. So I did 4 sets and I did like 1 extra rep at the end.
Yeah.
It'd be like the goal would it was all small incremental goals.
But as you became you, then did you stop did it plateau in terms of the rewards? And then you're like, now I need to start a podcast. Now I need to.
Well, okay. So I mean, you get to a point where you've kind of reached sort of like for me, certain goals on the bench press, the deadlift, the squat, right? I had these numbers that I always wanted to reach and I reached them. And then it transitioned for me kind of like, sort of unknowingly, because I started the fitnessing a long time ago, back in like 2011, before like it was a thing on the internet. Now it's a very popular thing. I was never under the idea like, oh, I'm gonna have this like big YouTube channel and like film. I was just doing it, and I was just filming my workouts, and then I start to realize, oh, obviously I'm getting followers, I'm getting engagement.
Think about it. Most people can't afford a personal trainer, or it's just like, why do you know what I mean? Like to have access to you, like how amazing.
Yeah. So and I spent years. In the beginning, it just started out as me just being like, these are my workouts. This is what I'm doing, joking around, having fun, a lot of talking. And then it evolved into me really focusing on, I would say like, how do I say, like teaching. I would teach like certain, like, okay, how to lose weight or how to build muscle. And I would do like little series. But as far as it evolving into like podcasting stuff, I think I recognized throughout my whole career of like filming any content at all, like while I was working out and I was doing the exercises and teaching and like showing people how to do the things, I was also talking a lot about like my relationship to it, like why it was important to me, like the overarching ideas of like why I'm doing this, why like I'm so, because people always like want to know why.
Yeah.
And I think I realized talking about that, even though the workout, they came because they wanted to learn, okay, how do I get bigger muscles, bigger biceps, a better bench press, whatever it is. You're teaching that, but a lot of the stuff would kind of just go off into life tangents.
Yeah.
And so then when podcasting came around, I was like, oh, this is like essentially what I've done, just in a more concise format where I'm sitting speaking about it.
Yeah.
So that was a transition of my sort of like content wise. And that's how I found myself here.
What's the goal? Are you going to start a cult or what are we doing?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start a cult. Yeah, I'm thinking that was the whole thing, was just like go, really find out about myself so that I could be able to relate to others.
Nice.
And then
Get an island.
And then start,
Followers.
yes, bringing them via plane.
Can I?
Southwest
do
or
they have their
Spirit.
passport though?
Oh, do
Have you seen
have
this
a
video of R.
passport?
Kelly singing this song?
Can you look up R. Kelly?
What? He's singing? You have a
Africa
passport?
song, dude. This is him singing to African
Is
girls.
maniacal, dude.
There's no
saying,
way this is real.
saying like, "Do you want to come back with me? Did you get your shots?"
How am I just seeing this today?
That's what I'm saying.
Have your passport.
No.
Girl, would you like to come back with Rob?
With
America.
America.
Wait, there's no way this is real.
Dude,
He's singing a concert.
Have your passport.
Did you get your shots?
Who wants to come back with
Bro,
Rob?
it's also like,
He's saying to the girls of Ethiopia, "Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Would you like to come back with Rob, first person, to America?"
it also like kind of shows his talent. Just singing off the
The
cuff,
guy
man.
has sold me on sex trafficking somehow.
the bravery
Wow.
is
Next level.
wild.
Wow.
Can I ask you a speed round of stuff?
Yeah, go for it.
Supplements. Go. Which ones?
Best supplements?
Or like, what are you taking?
I think the best supplements are that, and things that I've taken and I've seen the best benefit to.
I'm sure you talk about this all the time.
Yeah, not really, not all the time. A good multivitamin. So a multivitamin that doesn't have like bull ingredients, that is not like oxidizing or fucking up the other ingredients. I can go off on that in a tangent, but I won't.
Okay.
Fish oil.
What about cod liver oil?
Yeah, that's a fish oil.
Is fish oil kind of shady with the mercury or no?
It depends.
I'm
Depends what kind you
alt-right,
get.
So you're gonna have to sell me on facts here.
Okay. So cod liver oil, I do take that. Just in general, generally speaking, like a fish oil. And cod liver oil is a fish oil.
I just feel like there's so many con artists in the vitamin world.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when the sticker
So it
looks like it was
started.
made by the 5 Hour Energy drink
Even
guy,
when
I'm like,
when I said the multivitamin, there's so many bullshit
totally.
multivitamins.
New Chapter, I think, is a good one. I bet.
But really, creatine is a great supplement.
I
for
do it. I do
so
it
many
right now.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the just brain too.
Brain, like skin, and it's an amazing supplement.
Every day.
I take NAD
Me too.
plus. I inject it. Do you take the peptide?
We do the
probably take
Niagen
the-
drip and then the NAD and NMN pills and True Niagen.
Oh, so you do a drip?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's solid.
Yeah.
Not
Really
the NAD
solid.
drip, Niagen drip,
Oh,
which is
okay.
the NAD booster. The NAD drip, it's again like the ice
You
bath.
feel uncomfortable?
It's like it makes me angry.
Yeah, it hurts.
I don't have 2 hours to like feel like,
Yeah, I microdose the NAD plus. So the same thing that they do in the drip that feels uncomfortable for like 2 hours, I'll just
Okay.
microdose it throughout the week.
Oh, sick.
Hands
nice.
down, one of the best supplements I've ever taken.
So you just do it with a needle.
Yeah, you put it into the muscle with like an insulin pin or
And
something
you're
like
doing
that.
peptides?
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
ones?
Well, that's
BP,
one
180?
157 BPC 157 for inflammation
Yeah. I'm trying.
and for gut health. Those two have
Yeah.
been like the best for me.
5 days on, 2 days off type of thing.
I microdose most of the stuff, so I do it daily.
Oh, okay.
But microdose in a really small amount because my body's super sensitive to all that kind of shit. A protein could be good. I'd say like more of a plant-based one than an animal-based one, in my opinion. As
But
long
you're
as
not just eating protein?
I am. I'm just saying, like, for people, if like they're not eating enough protein,
Yeah.
it's a good supplement.
I
For sure, if you're eating enough protein, that's 10 times better than
have
taking
an
a
organ
protein
meat
supplement.
that's like I can't remember the name of it, but it's like liver, heart, all that shit.
Yeah, and then Sammy is another favorite of mine.
Sammy?
Sam.
SAME. Oh, I call it Same because I'm dumb.
Sam. Yeah. No, I don't. I call
Yeah.
it Sammy. It's better. It's one of my favorite
I
supplements.
do that and NAC.
NAC.
And then foliated B12.
Yeah, I don't take B12.
You're not doing B12?
No.
You're not doing D plus K?
D and K. Yeah, it's another
Okay.
one. That's vitamin D is probably the most beneficial.
But if you don't have
supplement.
K, it can absorb, yeah?
Not well, yeah. Yeah, you'd have to like have it in such larger amounts. Those two together are amazing. But vitamin D in general is just like most people don't understand, like they're like literally deficient. Most people are deficient and it fucks up everything.
Yeah, and magnesium too, yeah.
Magnesium's a great one. But I can get that from most of the foods. Beyond
But I
that,
feel like you have like your fridge is like
yeah, it is.
like glass things of food that's already made.
No, I'm actually really, that's the hardest thing for me is food. I'm terrible with food.
Really?
Yeah.
You gotta get
That's
a girl.
good to know because I am too.
You gotta get a girl that's like got your food on point.
I know. Yeah.
Because here, may I? I mean, may I?
Please go ahead.
And then we gotta go. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm taking up so much of your day.
No, you're great.
There's this new thing under the guise of feminism where women, I guess, think they're empowered, but they just come off entitled and frankly useless. Like they're glamorizing being useless. They're
Yeah.
Like, I don't cook, I don't clean. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah, it's That's a terrible thing.
What skills do you have?
Cleaning is.
I think
cleaning
that
and cooking.
I'm into
Cooking is. You cook for him?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
not a ton, but
But you're busy as too. Like your circumstances got to be a little different.
I'll always make sure I have breakfast. I make sure you're
a lot.
fed. It drives me
all
nuts.
the time. Yeah, it's
It like makes me angry if I haven't fed you. Like it's
I
like
go like when I go on even just down to P-Rod skate park, like I'll get like a snack pack.
oh
To,
yeah,
like
packed
pack
them
me
lunches.
snacks.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. It's like actually like one of the like the way that you feel loved. Snack packs. They were the first. They were the first thing that I noticed.
Why is providing nutrition to like your man who would protect you from a bear such a hard thing?
I have no idea. That's it. I have to talk to the feminists about this.
Yeah.
But it's a weird thing that's going on. I don't know how we ever.
How
got
do you
there.
feed yourself?
I also
cook.
also
Well,
think
the guy-
it's just a
to
really
them-
loud 1% of.
Yeah.
To them though, the guy's supposed to just like order them food or something. You know, get them food. That's how they feed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like, it's not gonna get done right unless you do it, though. It's like I do think there's not. I don't mean, you know what I mean. It's like I'm not even trying to say like guys don't know how to order food. I'm just saying like, why not want to own that task? It's actually very kind of masculine in a way. Like feminists are like, I'm not gonna get in the kitchen and cook. It's like full of fire and knives. Like
Yeah.
it's not like a like.
We should put you on some sort of like campaign or something. I think we need to get
I
need
am
more women
I
speaking out
definitely
against
do.
that.
I get a lot of for it, but I do take on like the bullshit, like fake feminism a lot.
I'm so glad
this
you
whole
do.
thing where
Thank
we
you.
have to like pretend Marilyn Monroe was smart. Like, what? What?
She was just hot.
She was a slob.
Yeah.
She was such a whore. The CIA had to kill her.
Yeah.
She was a mess, dude.
Yeah.
A mess. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this like tragic drug addict was like amazing for women thing.
Yeah. Insane.
It's like every quote's like, I show up 4 hours late. Like she was an asshole. Always keep them waiting. Like what? Like that's not you're a dickhead. You're an asshole. I'm not doing this. They're like, she had 9 husbands. Like what? I'm not, this whole thing where we all take advice from women that aren't married and don't have kids. Like, it's just like, what do you know about anything?
Yeah.
Someone that's like confidently a mess though, we now decide is like a strong, awesome woman. Like if you just own it. It's the same thing where like someone is like an asshole and they're like, I'm being authentic. It's like, no, you're being an asshole.
you're-
That's not,
Yeah.
you can bite your tongue. It's not a lie to bite your tongue and just like be respectful. Sorry.
No, I love it.
That's going to get me good.
No, it's good. No, it's
Yeah.
real. And I actually agree with you.
Yeah,
Like,
and by the way,
wholeheartedly.
if you don't agree with me, that's also fine.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to decide someone shouldn't exist because they have an opinion you don't share. It's like, you don't go into a store and if you don't like one shirt, you're like, this place, close it down. It's like, well, someone else might like that shirt. It's not,
Yeah.
not everything needs you, narcissist. The fact that people go around being like, everyone needs to think like me, they need to talk like me, they need to dress like me, they need to have the same bumper stickers as me. It's like,
It's insane.
that would be a pretty boring world.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to just look in a mirror all day? Just do that.
Yeah. Well, next episode, we're
Sorry,
gonna.
you
No,
should-
let's fix. We
Everyone-
need more of you. We need more of you. We got to fix
Every
it.
comment is going to be like, why didn't Chris Cole talk more?
No.
Steamrolled the Cobra.
I wasn't even supposed
Yeah.
to be here.
I know.
So
Thank you for coming though. For
I
real.
feel like
Oh,
your
my
fans
pleasure.
are gonna
This
wanna
is awesome.
hear him.
this is
Yeah,
fantastic.
well, if they say that, then we'll have them come back.
Yeah.
You're right down the street.
You can come back anyways.
That
I'd love to have
old
you.
guy wouldn't let
I'll be like,
the
okay.
Cobra talk.
I'll be like, tell me all about these vitamins because I didn't know anything you guys were talking
He's
about.
a
Really?
professional athlete who
I know
like
nothing.
eats candy only and like I just made him start stretching. He never stretches.
I don't stretch. Yeah, I need to. It's evident that my anterior tilt is like showing that I don't stretch.
It's like sick. If you don't stretch, like it's just you're like mentally ill, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't really stretch either too much. I'm just kind of naturally flexible.
I wish I was, man.
I've always been that way.
I'm just like
I got lucky with the genetic
You
thing.
strike me as a guy that like stands on a ball.
No.
my back muscles have
No.
turned into beef jerky. Pretty sure
Yeah.
they're
They're like-
real tight.
I try to do the Theragun with him. I make him do the sauna, but
All these things are great.
They're great. I want to. Maybe you
I
come
like
back.
To really
I want you
let
to come
something
back.
peter out. I like to let.
No, I
something
like-
Really,
I
we
noticed
had a
that.
momentum. Now I just wanted to.
I feel
crash
that.
and burn.
I love it. I love it.
Thanks for having me, dude.
No, you're awesome.
Thanks. I'm on tour. If anyone wants to come,
Yeah. Anything else you want to tell them?
I never promote anything on podcasts, and I'm trying to start.
Wait, where are you
Tour
gonna
dates,
be
when you
next,
come,
babe?
it's like, I'm going to be in New York. I'm going to Chicago Theater, Beacon Theater. I'm all over the place.
And Erie, Pennsylvania as well.
I am in Erie, Pennsylvania.
So you when you finish your pods, you don't just say I'm going to be here, and
No,
here.
I can't.
What the?
It's too embarrassing.
But it's like what you do though.
I know.
I guess I
Okay.
should do it then.
But isn't that annoying?
No.
You're not like, I'm going to be at the gym at 4 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, but it's like that.
Oh,
Come
I
on.
know,
4 o'clock
I know.
high. It's
Yes,
different.
I'm on tour. Come see comedy. Bring your girlfriend. She'll hate you less.
New York.
Oh, I'm
She's
everywhere.
coming to Erie, Pennsylvania, New York, New York,
There we
Charleston,
go.
South Carolina, Durham, North Carolina, Washington, D.C., Atlantic City, New Jersey, Chicago, Illinois, Prior Lake, Minnesota, Atlanta, Georgia, Nashville, Tennessee, Denver, Colorado, Salt Lake City, Utah, San Diego, California. Tickets
Ooh.
are low. Anaheim, California. Tickets are also low. Orlando, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, Boston, Massachusetts is sold out. Boston, Massachusetts, second show just got added. And Ledyard, Connecticut.
Let's go.
Foxwoods.
Yeah.
There we go.
Sweet, babe.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you.
Somebody had to
That's
do
what we
it.
needed.
Embarrassing. Sorry.
Check her out. Honestly, I think you're dope.
Dude,
for
thank
coming.
you. I feel-
Yeah, you're good.
I feel like I wasn't that funny, but I feel like your fans are so into like improving themselves and that's all. And I love a fan base that's like about that.
Yeah, I really like learning about you. And I didn't know you were that much into yourself, not in a joking manner.
Yeah.
I'm just not as good as you delivering the jokes, but I really don't mean it in that way as far as narcissism goes. I don't mean like that.
I just don't want to be a piece of
Yeah, I like that.
You know
though.
what I mean? I'm like, how today can I not be a piece
Trying
of
to yourself out as well.
Yeah, I think you have to like really
Very
like
cool.
just make sure you're not as selfish. And I think that it's really easy when you've come from bad to default as a victim and blame everybody else for your problems. And like that doesn't work for me. And I don't want to be that person. And I know it's really easy to do that. I see a lot of people doing that. And I just don't want to be a selfish like piece of garbage.
Yeah, you're doing the right things.
That's all.
And he's awesome. You read off your tour dates. Look at this. You guys.
Dude,
Look at you guys.
It's
dude.
so, I would hate us.
Wow.
I
trying
was
to
So cute.
I'm over here supporting.
It works.
Look at this guy, dude.
I know. I worked really hard on myself because I also was like, I want. This is the other thing where women will be like, men are trash. I'm like, no, there's no good men out there. No, there's good men out there. They're just at home with their good women. They're not at Coachella with you and the headdress you're wearing with the bikini.
Oh
So
my
it's like,
God.
I
could
also,
talk
I
about
love
this
the
forever.
bitch thrown in there too.
I
like
also
this-
was like,
a bikini bitch.
I also was like, I want an amazing man, but in order to get that, I have to be great too. Because the kind of guy I want is not going to be into this mess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
also like, and then I didn't want to get an amazing man and then somehow con him into falling in love with me and then be less than he deserves either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I see that a lot. And then it's just sort of, you need to change and you need to change and it's your fault that this is, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, just level up so that you can attract the person that you want.
It seems so simple, but until you said that, it was actually the first time I had ever heard it of like, be the person that you would want to like to be with, or be the person that would attract the person that you want to be with.
And you're running around these dating apps and I'm looking for the person. I'm like, wait, let me just become the person that would attract the man that I want.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only way you can really have it.
Let me just try that.
Right.
And that's the only way you can really keep it.
I'm spending so much time going, he's not good enough and he's not good enough. And it's like, maybe I'm not. Maybe I need to become. And if he does come along, I can actually not only attract him, but also keep him.
Yeah.
And then, you know.
Yeah. And not just.
And as long
not
as you
blow
cook,
it.
that's it. That honestly, man,
That is
huge.
the
It's
moral
so
of the story.
fun.
Dude.
Thank you for being you. Thank you. We appreciate it so much.
Thanks
You're
for
awesome.
having me, dude.
Absolutely.
I hope, good luck with these YouTube comments.